Okay, let's see. Things are looking good. Wow, this is kind of a different experience than the last time I did this. This is a little surreal, for lack of a better term. I don't know that anyone's actually watching right now, but here we go. Let's see. I guess there's no reason not to do one of these, right? Hey, I'm live at my thing, right? Am I allowed to say brewing beer for charity, even though the beer is not going to charity?
Well, yeah, because you're still brewing with the goal of getting money for charity.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. Let's see. James is here. James is watching. What's up, man? Welcome to my stream. Welcome to my live stream. I wonder how it looks, you watching me compared to the other way around. This is really interesting. I'm trying to muster up a little bit more business, let's say. And I'm just gonna... Actually, I'm not gonna do that. I got beer to brew. So, as you can see right there, we're brewing Northern Brewer's Lemondrop Saison. The recipe just came in magically, let's say. So let's go ahead and get everything out. I opened the box to make sure that everything's in it. That's what you do. I should probably step back, maybe. There we go. Let's see. So this is a little bit different than some of the other stuff that I brew myself. Usually I prefer hoppy beers, lots of bitterness, lots of flavor. This one is going to be a little bit on the other end of that spectrum. It's going to be a little more sweet. It's going to be tart, not bitter. It's so, you know, kind of lemon, not much like the lemon drop shot or drink, but it's going to have a very similar taste to it, I'm pretty sure. So right now I'm just getting everything out. What really got me on this was this right here. Lemon drop hops. Cool, right? Lemon drop hops. So pretty much what we need to do first is get the grains out of the bag. Right here. Get the grains out. Put them in this muslin bag. After that, it should just be a matter of letting the hops, or not the hops, but the grains boil. That's usually the longest part, is the initial boil. So first things first, we just need to get this open, pour this inside. I do have 2.5 gallons of water starting to boil. I've got it on medium right now. I don't want it to start boiling yet, but I do need the heat to get up there. I'm going to steep these for about 20 minutes. And then, after about 20 minutes, I'm good to put in the malt extract. So right now, our current step is the heat water and steep the grains. I keep getting that backwards. I need to get that figured out. And add the extract, which is this guy right here. But first things first, we got to get that water going. Luckily, I already did that. One really handy trick for getting the malt extract to be a little easier to pour, put it in the sink with some hot water. By doing that, it'll kind of, the heat will break up some of the chunks in the malt, or the extract rather. And from there, it'll make it a little bit easier to pour. You don't want this kind of stuff to clump up. You really want to, as you're stirring it, you want to make sure it's all even. But other than that, it should be pretty easy. So I'm just gonna, don't mind the noise. I'm gonna get some hot water in the sink, seal it, and let this sit while this gets hot. So while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and get my bag ready here, because we're just going to pour the grains right inside. I should probably bring that box back over as to not make a mess. My apologies. Little trick. A lot of people have done stuff like this, so I'm not the first person to do this here. How about this? Just to make it a little bit easier on myself, I'm going to do something a little unconventional here. And just bring that down. There we go. That makes it a little bit easier. So, I'm going to go ahead and get the grains in the bag. Nothing too crazy. The backbone of every beer. Get some nice ASMR going. I don't know who's listening to this on headphones, but it's probably awful with the sink in the background. Only like one more minute on the sink, I swear. So this is still heating up a little faster than I want it to. So I turned that down. We're gonna, the recipe, I'll show that to you as well. The recipe calls for it, when you get this into the water, to brew it, or to let it steep for about 20 minutes, or until it gets to 170 degrees. A couple brews ago, let's say, I made the mistake of letting the grains get too hot, and the beer was really foggy before I put it in the bottle. It was really, really foggy and really disgusting looking, and I was convinced the beer was going to be awful. I thought it was going to be terrible. But it turned out to be awesome, and we drank it really, really fast. So I'm going to go ahead and get the grains open here. Sorry if that's not as ASMR-y as it was before. Let me refresh my chat here, make sure that I'm not missing anything. It still shows there's 0 viewers, but James was there, so. Is it showing anything on your side?
Viewer-wise, yeah.
How many? 3? Oh, cool.
6.
If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I am able to see that. This is like really different than the last time I did this. But it's still pretty cool. I'm able to still interact with you. It's not as... this is a little more formal than what Instagram Live had to offer. Grains, nothing too crazy. This is not nearly as much as other beers have had. If you were there for the last brew, you would notice that there were a lot more grains than this. But I mean, something like this type of brew doesn't necessarily call for more than that. So here we go. Much like making tea, I'm just gonna kind of dip the bag in a few times, make sure that all parts of the grains are all getting covered by the water. There we go. That should take care of that. One handy trick is as the grains are in the bag, tying the knot towards the top, not too close to the top, but towards the top. I didn't do that. And then you can actually use the lid to keep the top part of the grains out, or that knot. That way, when you grab it and you need to kind of shake it to make sure that all the water gets out of the grains, you're not doing it in hot. You're not holding a hot bag. I made the mistake of not doing that, but just for the future references. You're just getting, yeah, pretty much bread tea. Yeah, it's just grains, wheat kind of stuff. You know exactly. You took a class. Essentially, you started this. If you think about it, James. What happened? All the water's gone. Somehow, I guess I didn't seal the sink properly, so that all the water left. So it left. It's just gone. It just walked out. So I have to refill the sink up, and I'm going to apologize. So that's looking good. So right now it is 4:14 Central Standard Time. So we're just going to let that sit for about 20 minutes or until it gets to 170. I'm kind of trying to balance it. That way it's both at the same time. Oh, what's good, Jeremy? Good to see you, man. Thanks for popping in. We're just brewing beer. Regular day in the Freeman household, you know? So we've got the grains in there, 20 minutes on that. So at about 4:34, 4:35. We should be good on that. It should also be at about 170 around that time. At that point, we're going to bring it to a boil. And then stir in the extract that's in the sink right now. That part's going to take a little bit. It may be a little different. I may move the stream over there. That way I can see it a little bit easier. You can kind of see what's going on. But we'll be pouring in the malt extract and stirring at the same time. And then, but at the same time, it's a waiting game. A lot of it's just sitting and letting it do what it's going to do over the next 20, 30, hour and a half or so. But right now, as you can see, we are heating the water and steeping the grains. Hold on. Wow, I'm bad at this. That would make an awful weatherman. Heat water and steep the grains, and then we're going to add the extract. How and when I'm going to change those and move on to the next step, I'm going to figure that out. But we're going to go from there. Can you tell me how I sound? Can you tell me how I sound? Like, turn it up. I guess I sound alright. I'll sound pretty okay to you guys?
I took it over there and I listened to it.
Awesome. I just want to make sure. So I've got that going. The sink is now fully sealed, and I've got some hot water in there. So that's going to really make it easier to pour. It's 6 pounds. It's not heavy, but it is thick, and you don't want those clumps to build up. So I'm going to let that keep going, Let me show you what else we're working with. After we get the extract into the boil, we are then going to start getting hops into it, starting with a 1/2 ounce of Magnum hops. Let's see, what are the aromas? No distinct aroma characteristics. So probably very, I don't want to use the word basic, but really, really simple. Really simple hops here. I don't think I've used... okay, so yeah, there's no bittering flavors, nothing too crazy in these. These seem to be very, I don't want to use the word basic, that makes it sound not great, but very simple hop selection here. After this, we're going to mix in 1 ounce of the Lemondrop, so that's where a lot of the flavor is going to come from. The Lemondrop hops. Tell the babies I said hi. I hope they can see me pretty okay. The Lemondrop hops. These, as you would imagine, the aromas are lemon, orange, grapefruit, citrus, blackberry, super cascade, love the smell of super cascade, and balsam. I don't know what those last 2 things are, but I'm sure they smell great. Oh, cool and awesome. It actually even tells you what beers these are typically in. That's pretty nice. I'll let you get a better look at that there, if that looks good at all. So we're going to do Magnum first. Actually a 1/2 ounce of Magnum, so I guess we're going to save that 1/2 ounce potentially. Lemondrop, and then we're actually going to also stir in the malt extract. So this is essentially a dry, evaporated version of what's in the sink right now. Wow, I really need to get this mirrored thing together. I'm not good in mirrors either, so like people those that have been with me, and I'm not good at like getting something off of my face, or like even that, I had no clue it was going to go to that side. Ingredients are malted wheat, malted barley, and water. The specifics, I don't know, but hey, I just know that you got to put this in there. So that's going to go in with the Lemondrop. That is arguably the more important part to be more careful with. That's really going to clump up much more than the malt extract. That's just going to boil away usually. Once the water gets hot enough, you're really not going to notice that anymore. But with this, that's really where some of the fogginess can come in. Your typical beers that you would get from the gas station or a restaurant, they're likely not going to have that. They go about making sure these things don't happen. In homebrew, you got to be careful. You have to be a little bit more cautious with stuff like that. But you're going to insert those, you're going to put those in. Oh, and a pound of corn sugar. Wow, so that's this guy right here. So this is where some of the sweetness is going to come from. Kind of earlier when I mentioned it's not going to be bitter. It's going to be tart, but not bitter. It's going to be pretty sweet. I was really curious as to why they gave me so much corn sugar, but that makes sense. So there's a pound of corn sugar, nothing too crazy. And we're going to mix that in along with the lemon drop hops and the malt dry extract. Right? Yeah, dried malt extract. I got it backwards, but. So then after that's in there, and about 10 minutes later, we're going to add the remaining package of hops, lemon drop. And then we actually get to use our new toy. Earlier, I went and purchased a wort chiller, which essentially, for those that were with me last stream, essentially after the boil, after that hour-long boil of inputting all this, stirring and all that stuff. Actually, we're not going to be stirring during that. The boil is going to take care of that for us. But after all of that, you need to chill it in order to let the yeast actually work. It's not going to work great at higher temperatures. So you need to chill it as fast as possible. The faster, the better, just because it's going to minimize bacteria, the chances of bacteria forming. So let me go get that. Let me show you what that looks like.
Take it with me whenever I drive. Nice.
So this is the wort chiller. Essentially, let me get that away from the mic. I'm sorry, that probably doesn't sound very good. As you can tell, there wasn't a lot of preparation put into it. I just bought this literally a couple hours ago. So I'm going to cut this open and show you. But essentially what we're doing, oh, there we go. Essentially what we're doing is this is gonna go on a water hose. So I'm actually gonna bring my hose inside, that's funny. So I'm gonna bring my hose inside, hook it up to this. I can't stop saying it now. It's gonna send the hose water through it. This is a superconductor essentially. That's going to take the heat out of the water, or the wort actually, because it'll be wort at that point. But the heat out of the wort, and disperse it with very cold water. So this is going to get really, really, really cold, and essentially swap that. It's almost a heat transfer. The cold water from here is just going to cool down the wort, and then send the now hot water through the wort chiller through this hose here. So essentially you just do this right in the sink or in a cooler of sorts, but you would take it, set it inside the wort for that last minute or so boil. So we're actually going to put those hops in and then put this in there in that last minute. So after that, we're going to take it over to the sink, actually hook it up, and then send some water through it. Hopefully it's as easy as that. I don't want to have to take this outside or anything. The hose should be long enough to get inside. We'll cross that bridge when you get there. But this is drastically going to save us a bit of time. Fortunately enough, usually you would go and buy ice and put ice in the sink, and then the wort into the sink. After that, it would you just chill it that way. This is kind of the other way around. You're actually putting the cold thing inside of it instead of it inside the cold thing. What's up? Good to see you again, Auntie Mika. Right now, I'm just showing off the new thing I bought. This is going to come into use later, so we don't have to use this for about another hour or so. We got 10 minutes left on the grains, so we'll let that do what it does. I'm going to turn the heat down a bit because we're creeping up to that 170 degree mark, but it hasn't been long enough yet. So I'm gonna let it keep doing what it's doing. Okay, so while that's going, let's go ahead and make sure that there's nothing else that we need. Let's see. Cool the wort to approximately 100 degrees Fahrenheit as rapidly as possible. Alrighty, so sanitize. So I do need to make the sanitizer. We can do that with the remaining 10 minutes of the grains. We'll go ahead and do that. Let's see, where did I put my sanitizer? Right there. Alrighty. For those of you that were with me last stream, this would look familiar. It's one step, no rinse cleanser. Essentially just a really simple sanitizing solution. You mix this with water. It makes a solution for you. The benefit of these is you don't have to worry about rinsing after. You would just be able to kind of dump it. It is edible in the sense you wouldn't just take this and scoop it or just drink the solution. But small amounts of this in your beer is not going to do you any harm. If anything, it'll make you stronger. No, it's not. Don't. I guess I can't say overly stupid things now. So let's go ahead and do that. We're just going to take 1 tablespoon of this one-step solution. We're going to take this, mix it into one of our buckets. I went ahead and ordered. I picked up a new bottle or a new fermenting bucket, which is nice. Often called carboys. Not sure why, but called a carboy usually. I'm going to use one of those to start soaking things. We're going to soak the yeast, which is this right here. Nothing too crazy, really simple yeast. We're gonna soak this in the sanitizer, the scissors in the sanitizer. Pretty much anything that's gonna come in contact with this, that's gonna go in sanitizer just to make sure everything is clean. So give me 1 second to get that going. You need a gallon of water to mix this with, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the sink going. I apologize in advance. So nothing too crazy, but just gonna scoop this into the bucket while it's filling. Done. This I can go ahead and put back because we're done with it. Can you see what water is in this? I'm sure that's about a gallon, but weird. I can't actually see through this new bucket, which is not a big deal. It's a little tougher to see how much is in it, but hey, that's all right. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting stuff in here. Let's do some more of that ASMR. Oh. That probably sounds terrible for you guys, and I apologize. I've apologized a lot already. So I'm not going to do that right next to the mic. I don't want to mess with the temperature of the yeast too much, so I'm not going to put it in there yet. That water's going to be a little hot. I don't want to mess with that yet. We got just a few more minutes on this. I'm just going to turn the heat off. Just to let it drop a little bit more. That's going to be for bottling. I guess that's one thing I didn't get to. After we boil this and add all the extra stuff into it, it's going to sit for about a week in the primary fermenter, which is going to be the bucket I get it into. It's going to be that one right there. Once I get that in there, once we get it in there, we're going to seal it away for about a week. A week later, so next weekend, I'm going to get it out of this bucket and into another bucket. That's called secondary fermentation. I actually am going to be doing that for the other beer that we brewed last week. I brewed that on Sunday. I actually got the bucket over there. It's got a super simple IPA inside, another one by Northern Brewer, I believe. But that's in there. That's going to be going in my keg. These are going to go in the bottles. So after about a week in the secondary fermenter, I'm going to add this. This is corn sugar. I'm going to mix this with a bit of water. And then put that into a bucket, the beer on top of that, and then siphon it out and put it into bottles. And at that point, I'll be able to share, distribute with friends and family. Uncle Phil, that's for you. This is your recipe here. So in about 3 weeks, it'll be going into the bottles. But that's the hard part after this. And then it has to sit for about 2 weeks to let the sugar do what it does. It's going to react with the yeast, I believe it is, and create carbonation. That's what's going to bring the bubbles and the body to the beer. This is a great light summery beer, so this is going to be fantastic, and the carbonation is really going to accent that. No one wants to drink flat soda. You wouldn't want to drink flat beer either. Trust me, because I have drunk. I've ingested flat beer. I don't. But we've got about 4 minutes left on the. Actually, it's at 170 now. There's no need to let it sit for a few more minutes. The instructions do say for 20 minutes or until it gets to 170. So we're going to try to. We should be good to keep moving here. No need to wait. So now we need to get. I need to use some tongs or something to get the grains out, and I'm just going to kind of do a little shaky shake to get as much moisture out of the grains as possible. You want to use every ounce, every drop that you can. You spent the money. Uncle Phil, my uncle, spent money on this recipe we're using, so I'm going to get everything out of it. I'm going to send this like that there. So something like this. If you take it and twist the knot a little bit, it'll be easier to hold. Holding it like this, it can kind of slip out, but if you take it and twist it, it's a little bit easier to hold. The reason it matters is because if you drop it, splash, it's hot water. I have been burned many a time doing this. Just take my word for it. It doesn't feel good. It's not as nice as they say in the brochures, trust me. You can do a little bit of a squeeze on it just to get a little bit more. Again, it is hot, so you want to be careful. So essentially, these are useless now. I'm going to put these in the sink and do away with them later. That's just going to go. Okay, so the grains are done. Now we got to get it to a boil. So this part's usually the longest, just getting it to a boil and keeping it there. Best practice for this part is getting it to a boil, lowering it a little, and then let it sit at a kind of a higher rolling boil. So you don't want it to be too high, but you want to make sure that there's constant bubbles going. That's what's really going to help us mix. It's going to make the stirring a little easier, only a little easier. So once that gets to a boil, we're going to get it off of the heat, and then add the extract. So if there's a way, can you on your, do you ever get the thing going on your phone? I guess not. Oh, I mean the, yeah. Because I want to change the step. I can probably do that from here. It may look weird, but. Let's see if I can do this live. So now the current step is going to be bring to a boil. And then and add extract. And the next step is going to be, what is the next step? Oh, and then let's call it hot boil. Awesome. So while we're waiting, I want to say thanks to everyone for stopping in. It should, hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves so far. The reason that I'm doing a lot of this is mostly to, it's actually for charity more so than brewing the beer. The beer was going to happen regardless, but what I really wanted to do was take something that I already enjoy and see if I can raise some money for charity at the same time. I can't currently see the amount of viewers, but I would say that if everyone can, just take a look in the description. You should be able to see a link for the charity that is selected for this. I'm probably going to change it for every brew. We'll get down to there later. But if you can, take a look in the description. You should see a link to the not only the donation page. It takes you directly there. You're not sending me any money. I don't want your money. But you can take what you would want to use to help me. You can actually use to help somebody else. I'm doing all right. So hopefully I can use, I don't want to say my talents, but I really want to be able to do what I'm doing, but do it for someone else. So if you can, click that link. Any dollar that you can send helps. I do plan on matching donations to a degree. I can only match so much, of course. But ask me how, maybe I'll match yours. But if you click that link, it will actually go directly to the stream. You should see it on the bottom right there. It should update. So that'll be interesting. We'll see if it works. But if someone wouldn't mind testing that, that'd be great. I wasn't talking to you. So that's good. This can stay. So really we're just getting that to a boil. Then we'll be adding that. And then we'll be doing that. Let's see. Oh, so the other thing that I have is this. This would look familiar. So what's in here is our brew from last week. This has Northern Brewers, what was the name? I can't even remember the name of the IPA. I've had discussed way too much beer over the last week or so that I don't even remember. But it is one of Northern Brewers mini IPAs. Northern Brewer is the company that not only my sister, for my birthday, got me this equipment kit that you're seeing. So this bucket, the other bucket that we're going to use to ferment this one, as well as the kettle you're seeing. Pretty much everything that's not even these ingredients. This is, as I said earlier, Northern Brewers Lemondrop Saison. You can see it right there. They're a great company. They're not sponsoring this by any means. I just like showing them off because they've been great to me. They provided this awesome equipment kit. I say provided like we didn't spend money on it. My sister didn't spend money on it. But nonetheless, it's their equipment that I'm using. So I wanted to show a little appreciation. I do believe the link is in my channel description. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I put the link somewhere. But regardless, for those that take an interest in it or don't want to have to worry about going to restaurants and stuff like that during these troubled times, you can brew beer yourself with something much like what I have. I don't have anything extra other than clean water. Water here in Austin is pretty clean. If you can drink it, you can use it to make beer. So without further ado, I'm not going to do much with this right now, but we will need to get this out of here and into the secondary fermenter, which is going to be one of the other buckets, whatever one this one doesn't end up in. Probably the one with the sanitizer, so I'll probably do that at the very end. Anyway, I'm going to get this off the counter now. Okay, so now, let's see, let me show off a couple other things. For those curious as to how bottling works, this is a siphon, nothing too crazy, but essentially we're going to sanitize this, always sanitize this, put this hose or tubing on the end of the siphon, give it a couple pumps, and then it's going to start pulling beer through the bottom, all the way through the tubing, and then on the other end of the tubing, we're going to have this. This is what they call a bottling wand. You would put this in there, and with this stem on the end, you can kind of see that there. It kind of pushes in. Pretty much what that does is when you push down, it starts to release beer out of the bottom. And when you push down at the bottom of the bottle, it's going to start to pull the beer that's in the siphon. I'll show what that looks like. So essentially, you would take the siphon and just press it against the bottom. It's going to fill up. I'll show this at a later date. I'm going to live stream the bottling process too. But you push down on the bottom there, and it fills up. Eventually, once the beer gets to the very top, that's when you pull the bottling wand out. When you do that, the volume is going to change just because you're pulling something out of it, and then it's going to give you about an inch from the top. That's the ideal amount. If you can, you obviously don't want to spill any, but you would fill the bottle, take this out, and you would cap it. I'll show what that looks like. And again, all of what you're seeing was provided with the Northern Brewer Starter Kit. So this is nothing mostly except the wort chiller that you saw. That's probably the only thing that's actually extra. It's not a necessity, but boy, is it going to be nice to have. But with bottling it, there's this. It's a capper. So you put the cap in there. It's magnetic. And then you kind of just crimp down the sides. And it will actually crimp and seal the bottle cap. So you can kind of see that there. This is weird. Oh. Anyway, you would take this. Again, it's magnetic, so you can just set it right in there. On the bottle, is that easy to see? It is. Crimp. That's it. So once the beer is inside, you'll let it sit for a couple weeks to carbonate. After it's carbonated, essentially you can drink one, you crack it open. If you hear that sound of what it sounds like when you open a soda, that sound, that means it's ready. And at that point, it's not going to do it, there's nothing in here, but I just need to get this bottle cap off the bottle. And then if you do hear that the carbonation release, your beer's ready. You can go ahead and you can either store it or put it in the fridge. Usually I put like 6 or 12 in at a time. It's not just myself. Everyone that lives with me is all over 21. Anyone is welcome to any beer in the house. So I usually keep it pretty stocked. Let's see. What's the alcohol content of the last batch you made, the IPA? The IPA is actually going to be pretty strong. That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked. I believe the IPA is going to be about 7%, 8%, which is pretty strong. A lot of simple, regular IPAs, I say regular because there's other types of IPAs, but this type of IPA is usually 5 to 7% alcohol. The one that we were brewing actually is going for about 8. The strongest brew I did was a double IPA, hence why I specified regular, was a double IPA, and that was pushing about 9%. You can make beer stronger by either adding extra malt, that's going to add a lot more flavor to it, so you have to balance that out with extra water and extra hops. Or you can use corn sugar. It's essentially not very different from table sugar, but if you use corn sugar, much like what's provided here, this will bring a little bit of alcohol content to it. The downside is it does make it pretty sweet. So I'm sure the beer that we're using, as you can tell, there's about 6 pounds of the extract. 1 pound of dry extract, so let's say 7 pounds. That's where a lot of the alcohol content is going to come from. The rest is going to come from this guy right here. This is what's going to bring up the carbonation. The other package of corn sugar, this is going to go in at the very end. So this is where the carbonation is going to come from. Hey, Uncle Ronnie, it's good to see you. Thanks for popping in. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. I'm also enjoying myself. This is a lot of fun. This is essentially what I do every few weeks. Now I'm just speaking to you guys, so it's more fun. I'm just going to start setting things off to the side. A lot of this we're not going to need right now. This stuff we're not going to need, or at least the bottling wand we're not going to need until bottling day, so 4 weeks from now. I do plan on publishing a calendar of sorts. That way, if those that are interested can revisit the channel and I'll have a calendar that I'm going to update with the stream times as far as when I'm going to be live streaming it. I am going to document processes along the way, but it might not go live. I'm going to upload those videos with the help of my brother Zach, who's behind the camera. Shout out to Zach. At that point, I'm just going to be documenting a little bit of it, recording it, uploading it as we go, and then maybe making a compilation video for the actual brew. So step one to cracking open a beer. I'm going to start putting stuff away, clean as you go. I said that last time, never forget. So we're essentially at a boil now. It's getting going. It's not a heavy boil, but so I'm just going to bring it down just a little bit. Yeah, we're pushing 200 degrees right now, so it's getting a little hot. Ma said hi. Of course he saw it. So I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. I need the heat to stay there, but I just need just a little bit less of it. So I'm turning that down a little bit. Let me turn it back up. That might be too much. I might have turned it down too much. Get this out of the way. Alrighty. So for those interested, at some point when this beer gets into bottles, so in about 4 weeks from now, and then when it's ready, so let's say in 6 weeks, for those in the area or those that I'm going to be in your area, let me know. Let me know if I'm going to be in your area in a few weeks. I live in Austin, Texas, but I frequent Fort Worth. If you happen to be in either of those two areas where a lot of my friends and family are, I may be able to bring some beer to you. Now, legally, I can't sell it, but if you want some, I can give it to you. There's no rules on being nice and giving people beer. Of course, if you're over 21. We'll cross that bridge later in about 6 weeks. But when the time comes, I do plan on distributing and handing out these beers. A lot of it's going to go to my uncle since he paid for it. A lot of it's going to go to him. But I do want to kind of spread word, get these out. I'm going to make a label too. You guys will see how that goes when I figure out the logistics and get that going. But that is also on the agenda. Okay, so now would not be a bad time to get the malt extract into the boil. So let's see. So that's in the sink right now. Actually, we're not. Yeah, we'll be doing that first. So it's at a boil. We'll take it off of heat once it gets to a boil, and then we'll put the syrup in. So that's right now. Yeah, I'm not going to mess with it too much. Sorry, that's really hot. Alrighty, so now it'll be a little unconventional. It's not going to be as interactive as last time, but I am going to put this into. I'm going to go ahead and put this into the boil. Let's see. I'm coming I'm coming to Dallas in October. Essentially, yeah. The Lemondrop was one that Uncle Phil wanted. He wanted something. Well, he was wanting kind of something like a sour. I found this recipe. A lot of sours, homebrew sours, are expensive, like $90, because you're buying something like fruit puree or some type of fruit extract, concentrate type stuff. And for whatever reason, homebrew companies charge a lot for that. So what was going to be it could have been like a grapefruit sour, would have been my plan, would have been like $90 before delivery and taxes. And that's a lot of money. So I decided against that, found this Saison, and went ahead and did that. So we're going that route. But yeah, it's for Uncle Phil. He paid for it. It was I wanted originally to do a sour, like a real sour, but those are expensive. So I settled with a Saison. Hi, Mom. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. I hope everyone is learning something. If there's one thing I can get out of this is donating money to charity and teaching somebody something. I'm going to dispose of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and try to get this into there as slowly and, not slowly, but efficiently as possible. Alrighty, so this ladle also came with the equipment kit. Again, nothing really that you're seeing. The scissors, these are home scissors. These did not come with it. But pretty much everything else you're seeing did. I'm going to go ahead and get this poured in. Hopefully I can still read from over there. Wow. That is very not thick. That's very, very thin now after sitting in that hot water for so long. This is probably thinner than your house syrup now. I'm going to turn this light on. It might not do much, but I need to be able to see inside and make sure there's no clumps. Something like this shouldn't clump up too much, again, because it's liquid, so it's probably just going to melt away anyway. Not melt, but boil away that whatever would clump up. So here we go. There we go. That's a little better. So this part here is probably the most tedious part of the entire process, at least in my opinion. It's my least favorite, just because you're standing at the stove for about 20 minutes, usually 30 minutes. Sometimes it can take to stir this in properly. The biggest concern that you should have regarding pouring the syrup in, the extract, you don't want it to get to the bottom of the kettle and burn down there. Once it gets down there, it's just going to singe, and it might, if there's too much of it, it very well the taste of it may end up in your beer. So you want to be really careful about that. That's usually, to what I understand, that's why I have you. To what I understand, that's why they have you. That's why they have you turn the heat off anyway, so it doesn't get too hot. I guess I need to make sure my computer doesn't sleep during the stream, because it's done that twice now.
It doesn't change.
Okay, cool. As long as it doesn't. I couldn't imagine that it did. I think the laptop, not the desktop, is. So I should be good to pour the rest of this in here. It's looking good so far. And if I can, I'll put the camera in here just to kind of show what it looks like. But right now, it just looks like brown water. It kind of reminds me of the lakes back home in Georgia, back in Columbus. Some of them, some of the ponds and such were not terribly clean. Not to anyone's fault, of course. Yeah, it's looking a lot like lake water. And the color of the syrup isn't helping. Okay, so that's going. Some people like to take the extract, what's left, let it sit to the bottom of the bottle here. You can kind of see there's still some in there, kind of. What some people will do is put really hot water in here, stir it up, let that come off the walls, and then pour it back in. You can do that. I'm going to. Usually I don't, but Uncle Phil paid for this, so I'm going to make sure to get every drop I can. So just a little bit of hot water. You can kind of see that it's bubbling up there. You can kind of see where the actual extract is still in it. It's just watery. I'm going to pour that in. Get the rest of that in there. Easy. I'm going to stir it a little bit more now. It is getting a little foggy now that we've got some more stuff in it other than the grains. But now that that's done, I'm going to get it back to a boil, so let me turn this back up. Okay. Hello? Let's see. Oh, hi. Hi, Erica. Good to see you. Thank you for popping in. Let me refresh this, make sure everything's still looking good. Hope everyone's having a good time so far. I know it's not crazy, I won't say interesting. There's a lot going on now. But it's not the, it's similar to watching paint dry, I would say, except you get to drink this. But drinking paint, you don't do that. You get to drink this later on. Speaking of which, what better time than now to go ahead and grab a beer while we're waiting, right? Let me see. I'm gonna test something really quick. I hope it kind of kicks something. So let me try to do something a little different here. Let's see, how do I do this? So I'm going to try to see exactly how that donation link works. Let me see, just to make sure. Let's see. Oh, it's going to make me use PayPal. I didn't know that. Oh, okay, never mind. It goes through PayPal. You can still use your regular information. Interesting. I'm just making sure that this is going to be seamless for everyone else. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I just hit pay now. I just donated $5 to save the children of Lebanon. The charity itself goes and with that money, they're able to help rehome children that don't have homes now because of the most recent tragedy in Beirut. They not only do that, they also help with education. They help with feeding them. I mean, pretty much anything that they can do for these children that have now been displaced. They lost family, stuff like that. I figured it would have been a really easy campaign to get behind first. And I feel like I was right. I mean, I did a little bit of research before selecting them, but I really wanted what I'm doing to go to the right place. So, cheers. So I did get a receipt, which is great. I don't see the donation thing pop up yet. Let's see. Maybe it'll go in a little later. I don't know. But hey, I mean, what's more important is that the donation actually, I made the donation. Oh, you know what it probably is? Since it's not an actual donation link, that's probably why it's not synced to the stream. It's just going straight to them, which is fine. It's not through that one thing we looked at, Tiltify. This is just going straight to them. So it's not gonna. You're not gonna see it. I keep doing that. You're not gonna see it in the donation bar if you do donate. So I should take that off. But it does still go to the charity, which is again more important. Tell us about the beer I'm drinking. So the beer that I'm drinking right now is called Florida Man. I thought it was hilarious. It's called Florida Man. It's a double IPA. Again, that's my preferred beer. Not everyone likes IPAs, let alone double IPAs. Sorry, one sec. The double IPA essentially just means that it's not necessarily twice as hoppy, but going to be hoppier than your other IPAs. Usually that means it's been dry hopped or double dry hopped in some situations. What that means is kind of remember when I mentioned the primary fermentation, putting it into another bucket at secondary fermentation. That's what that is. Essentially, you would be during that process, you'd be pouring more hops into the beer, right on top of it. You take it out of one bucket, put it in the other, put some hops on top, seal it off, let it sit for a couple weeks, and then start the bottling process. There's a little bit more to it, but essentially that's what dry hopping is. Really, you're just taking that extra hops, putting it in there while it's not boiling, hence the dry. And then it actually, that's where a lot of the flavor comes from, because some of it doesn't get boiled out. You're not losing some of it through heat and stuff like that. Double IPAs generally have around sometimes 2 rounds of dry hopping, which was what makes them very, very, very hoppy. Not everyone likes it. I offered some to Alicia, my girlfriend. A lot of you have met her. Offered some to her, knowing that she doesn't like it. I like to make her drink any beer that I'm drinking. And for once, she said no because she knew that it was going to be way too hoppy, and I respect that. I'm not going to make her drink something like that. I just like watching her face when she drinks it, and it's terrible to her. So we're going to let that keep doing what it's doing. It's going to take a little bit, so I'm not going to mess with it very much now. You mentioned a label. So the label idea I had, and you guys may like this, we don't have any bottled beer right now, so I can't show you. A lot of the beer we've been drinking came out of the tap, or a can, since I'm now out of beer on tap. But let's see, the label idea I had was to essentially it will just be your regular beer label, just wrapping the bottle. But what I wanted to do with it was put a QR code on the label. I'd be printing them myself probably. There's websites to help you with that. But I want to put a QR code on there. I want to put 2. 1 to get to the channel. 2, the second one to go to the charity that I don't want to say sponsoring, but the charity that I would like to give money to. Essentially, one of them saying, hey, here's how you can look at more if you want to watch more about the beer. This one, why I'm doing this, the whole point of doing this was to give back and give money to those that don't have it. So I want to have the label would have 1, 2, and then whatever, somewhere along there, it would say Just Brewing on the top, and then whatever beer it is. I feel like it wouldn't be appropriate to put someone else's beer, for instance, Northern Brewers beer, because this is technically their recipe. I'm brewing it, much like you would at home you would cook or bake a recipe that you found online. This is no different. I don't think it would be fair to try to give out their beer, their recipes. So I'd probably only do that when I'm making my own recipes. I'm a few weeks away from that. There's a little bit more research involved, just making sure ratios and stuff are correct. And then brewing it and just tasting it to see what it tastes like. If it tastes good, sell it. Or in my case, give it away in hopes that people donate to the cause that I'm sponsoring. I don't like that word. I need to find another word. Contributing to. I don't know. I don't want to use sponsor because it makes it sound like it's being paid, like they're paying me to donate to them. That's far from the case. I'm just doing this out of the kindness of my heart. Those that know me best know that all I want to do is help people. That's why I'm in IT. Anyway, let's see. So that's going to still take a little bit. I do think I want to try to... No, I can't do that right now either. I'm going to continue cleaning. Some of this stuff can be recycled. So I'm going to clean this out. Something like this could potentially be reused for when if I'm buying my own, it'll have its own container. It's not like they're just pouring malt out of like a faucet and I have to go put this under it. My idea was to use this for more malt. But anytime I buy malt, it's already going to be in a package like this. So I can toss this. I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning up. Give me 1 second. Actually, I'm going to do that, one of those things. Yeah. No, because it's going to directly just go do like streaming starting, and I won't mess with that right now. So I'm going to throw away the grains and the extract bottle now. Let me wash my hands. Messing around with that extract really dirtied up my hands. Just clean them off a little bit. Not quite there yet on the boil, but that is okay. Once it gets up there, the first thing we're going to add, the U.S. Magnum hops. On the back here, I'll read this to you. We've got your batch. That's funny. We're diehard hopheads and are proud of it. That's why we go the extra mile to protect our hops with nitrogen-flushed packaging and light-blocking materials. It's all part of our promise to help you brew your best beer. Every time. 100% satisfaction guarantee. I've been nothing but satisfied with what Northern Brewer has, what I've purchased from them. I would say probably 2/3 of all my recipes that I've done over the last few months were all by Northern Brewer, just because they've got good recipes. I mean, I wouldn't get it. If I don't want to drink it, I'm not gonna buy it. And they have a lot of what they have is something that I drink. There are others, really popular homebrew brands. One of them is what you saw earlier, Brewer's Best. Now, I did not ask Brewer's Best for their permission. I did ask Northern Brewer for their permission for showing off their stuff, but I didn't ask them. So hopefully I don't get in trouble for this. I don't see why I would, but they're another good company. I bought, I think, 2 recipes from them. I think that, one of the recipes we just finished up recently was by Northern Brewer. And then I think the next one that I was looking at was by Northern Brewer. I'm sorry, Brewer's Best, my apologies. But they're really, both of which are very popular for supplying these types of homebrew kits. You can buy them online or at your local homebrew store. How did I get into beer brewing? To make a long story short, one of my buddies who was in the chat earlier, James, I'm not sure if he's still here, but he took a beverage course at UNT when we were in college together. He introduced me to beer. When I turned 21, I started drinking a lot of different types of beers to learn a little bit more about it. Eventually got to the point to where some beers, it was hard to find the beers that I like in store or in a restaurant. I like craft beer. You may have heard that a lot. Essentially, that's just something that you wouldn't find at a restaurant usually. Something not with the word light in it. You're not going to find the word light usually. Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, blah, blah, blah. Beers that kind of stray away from that norm are considered craft beer. Those beers are a little harder to find in, I don't want to say in the wild, but in a restaurant. Some restaurants are known for having that, but not all of them. But to make a long story short, someone said, hey, you like beer so much, you know so much about it, why don't you brew it yourself? And I looked into it and turned out it was really possible and super easy. As a gift, this past October, my sister got me that kit that you've been seeing me show off, that kettle. Essentially, it was everything that you need. It was the equipment kit and my first recipe, which is an IPA recipe. All the ingredients, all you had to do was put it all together. That kind of started it. Much like anything, you just give it a shot. Worst case was I had about 40, 50 beers out of it. Best case, I got a new hobby. And here we are. That was back in October when my sister bought it for me. But ever since then, I've pretty much been regularly brewing my own beer. It's just easier that way, especially since the world is not in the best shape right now. A lot of restaurants, breweries, and brewing companies in general are actually going down. A lot of breweries in Austin are going down, and it's unfortunate. But I started this hobby before all of this happened, so I've been able to essentially sustain myself on beer, my own beer, or at least beer that I can brew myself. Luckily, I can just get it delivered to my house, essentially all contactless. I can do the whole thing without speaking to another person. Ooh, we're at a light boil, only about 5 or 10 more minutes on that, and then we can start adding that first round of hops. Hopefully that wasn't annoying. So this is going to be for the bottling process. I'm going to put this into a box, that way I don't mess with it anymore. But I'm just going to show this one more time. This is the corn sugar. That's going to be for bottling. So this is what we call priming sugar. You mix this with some water, you boil it, you put it in for fully fermented beer. As it kind of reacts, it creates a carbonation level. And at that point, after it's carbonated, you're ready to drink. About 2 weeks on that. But I'm going to put this away just for now. Actually, I'm going to put this in my beer cabinet. My beer supply cabinet, rather. I guess the only other thing I haven't shown was the airlock. So essentially, when you seal it off during the fermenting process, you want carbon dioxide to leave, but you don't want any oxygen to get in. So you use something like this. This is, I think, what they call a 3-tier airlock, but essentially CO2, not CO2, I'm sorry, but carbon dioxide, I guess that's the same thing, right? Goes up and out, and this pretty much prevents, and it locks into, and it's an unfortunate name, but this is called a bunghole. You put this in there, the CO2 is going to go out, not CO2, but carbon dioxide is going to go out, and then it prevents any oxygen from going in. It just leaves and is able to leave without letting anything in. Really cool stuff. So the boil should almost be there.
You can smell it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can even, if you were here, you could probably smell the I don't want to say it burning, but you can smell the malt actually boiling and stuff like that. Kind of, I don't know what the word is. Uh-oh. So it boiled over a little bit, so I just turned that down a little. Now we can go ahead and add that first round of hops. You're really gonna smell it now. I want to make sure that I'm not going to do anything with that other ½ ounce of hops. So I'm going to read this over one more time real quick just to make sure it doesn't say added ½ ounce. Let's see, sanitize, add. So I don't see anything about adding in the extra ½ ounce of hops, so I'm just going to add in the whole package. Yeah, no big deal. Return the wort to boil. The remainder will not be used. Okay, well, that's what the recipe says. I'm going to use the remainder. It's gonna add a little bit more hop flavor to the beer, but that's all right. I don't actually. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't want it to be too hoppy. I want the Lemondrop hops to be more prominent than the Magnum hops. So maybe I should save them. I could save them for another recipe. I think I'll save them. Usually I wouldn't. I said I wouldn't, but I think I will. I want to make sure this isn't too hoppy. I'll stick to the script this time. Usually you can kind of stray away from the rules. Someone told me once, a buddy of mine who also brews at home, said something really nice. He said the recipe the steps is more a guide, not a rule book. You can go off of this. You can follow it to a T, but if something happens, it's not the end of the world if it's not exact. So even if I were to add the whole ounce, nothing bad would happen. So we're just going to add in the ½ ounce. So I'm just going to do half the package. I'll do a little bit more, and that's it. So it is 511. I'm just going to seal this off in a Ziploc bag. So now, so I'm putting that in with 10 minutes remaining. Okay, so I'm essentially just going to let that boil for about an hour, close to an hour, about 50 minutes. And then with 10 minutes left on the clock, so if we set a timer now, hey Google, set a timer for 1 hour. Okay, so thank you for the tip on how to set an alarm. So pretty much what I'm going to do, I'm just going to seal this off. Actually, I think I should probably put a little bit more in there. So now, so that's, I guess we should also set an alarm or a timer for 50 minutes from now. Hey Google, set a timer for 50 minutes. So the second timer is so that we can have the 50 minutes for to finish the first part of the boil. The entire boil itself is going to be about an hour. The entire boil itself is going to be about an hour. But after that 50-minute mark, that's where we're going to add in the ounce of Lemondrop hops, the dried malt extract, And then lastly, the corn sugar, that 1 pound of corn sugar. So this is another thing to also make sure not to let clump up. When I pour it in, I'm probably just gonna drizzle it and stir at the same time. Actually, does it want you to stir? It almost for sure needs you to. I'm probably gonna have to stir it. It doesn't say to, but I just might. I don't know that this is easily gonna. I don't know that it's easily gonna break itself apart if I don't stir it. So I'm gonna add these 3 parts in. Once I do that, we're gonna let that last 10 minutes on the first timer go, the one that was for an hour. At the end of that timer, we're going to add that last ounce of lemon drop hops. So at about that same time, actually before we do that, so maybe with about a minute or 2 left on the boil before we add this, I'm actually gonna get the wort chiller ready. One way or another. I need to figure out how I'm gonna get that from the side of the house all the way into here. We'll cross that bridge, but wow, I need to think about that.
Was that what you wanted me to do? You didn't want me to bring that in here?
Well, I need to figure out. There's a hose on the other side. I figured it would be closer to get that inside. It's just a matter of if I can make it to the sink. I mean, I don't necessarily have to get it. Actually, I don't have to do that. I can put. We'll figure it out. It should be fine. I may need to move it over there, so I may end up moving our setup closer to the door, because I don't know that my water hose is going to make it all the way to my sink. But what we'll do is I'll put the wort chiller into the boil here, just before I do the last package of hops. I'm going to put that in, let it burn away, because it's going to be at a really high temperature. I'm going to let that high temperature burn away any bacteria. It'll kill it all off, because bacteria can't survive at that high temperature. Once it's done doing that, I'm going to add this in, and then take it off the fire, or the burner, and then start chilling it. I need to chill it as fast as possible, hence the wort chiller. Again, traditionally, you can use an ice bath, is what they call it, just filling your sink with some water and some ice, and then setting the kettle inside. Science and stuff, it gets cooler. I don't know. Convection, I think. Conduction is inside, right? I don't know. Someone out there knows. Someone far smarter than me. Okay, so I need to bring that heat back up. From when it boiled over, I turned the heat down just to let to stop boiling it over. But now I need to turn it back up because it's not boiling anymore. Ugh. So that's going well. I'm gonna again start cleaning things up. There's some stuff that doesn't need to be out. That's out. I'm gonna move that out of the way. Again, thanks to everyone for stopping in. If you were able to donate, that's fantastic. If not, that's quite all right. Share. You can go to this link that you're seeing now, or you can go to my actual channel, not the video you're watching, but the actual channel. Copy that link, or if you're on your phone, there should be a 3-dot menu. Tap that, hit share. It'll just get a link. Send this out to your friends and family, those that may find it entertaining, or looking for something to learn, a new hobby. But to me, what's more important is getting that donation link. You feel free to copy that out of the description, sharing that to friends and family. If you copy that and just paste it into your post or anything like that, it will still work. It will just take you directly to that page where you will need to type in your a display name, your amount. It'll take you to an external page to set up payment. From there, it'll be sent directly to the charity. So if you have a PayPal account, you can send it directly. I don't, so I had to go through and do that. But I'll probably have to do. It seems like these types of format streaming things do require some sort of PayPal account, so I may need to look into that in the future. But for now, you can still donate without one. Again, that's what's more important. Florida man is a double IPA by Cigar City. Sorry. My first beer by them, out of Tampa, Florida, as you would imagine. I thought the name was hilarious, so I just saw it and immediately grabbed it. The other one that's in the other can that's in the fridge is a sour, and the can design looks cool. The design on the can looks cool. It caught my eye, so I grabbed it. Simple as that. Sometimes I do quite a bit of research when it comes to grabbing a beer. Sometimes it's literally what catches my eye. I'm going to start moving things around. I don't think I need this box anymore. I say that, and then I'm going to need to store something somewhere. Actually, I'll put this over here near the recycling. And we are back to a boil. So that's boiling again, which is good. The timer shouldn't be a problem. It should still be all right as far as I shouldn't need to extend the timer or anything like that. The water was still really, really, really hot, so everything should be fine. Have I tried Tropicalia? No, I haven't. But it sounds cool. It sounds like a tropical, fruity beer. That sounds really nice, if that's what it is. It sounds good. I like the name. It's a sour beer, mostly found in Georgia. I will look for it next time I'm there. I do have family, of course, still there. Mom, if you're still watching, hello. I do plan on going back eventually, so if I'm able to find it, I'll make sure to grab it. Or if I have family from Georgia coming up here, I'll send however many dollars it is to get the beer brought up here. I do like sours too. They're just a little harder to find and brew at home. Be that good or bad, I don't know. But all I know is it is a little harder to actually go about brewing. It's not hard, it's just more expensive. And that is a hardship. Money is a hardship. Okay, so that should be fine. I was just double checking that it was indeed 10 minutes left in the boil for the for these three things: the sugar, the dry malt extract, and the hops. I was just double checking, and that still looks fine. I need to seal these this open package. I want to test another thing. I probably should have put a little bit more, I won't say effort, but I should have put a little bit more preparation into this. I want to see what happens if I try to donate on my phone. If you even can right now, there's a chance that since my channel's still small that you can't, or it's like a thing that you can only do on, or it's a thing that you can only do on the computer or something like that. Can you see if you can super chat me? Probably not. Let's see. Do I like Stone IPA? Yes, I do. I have had that one. I do like Stone IPA. I can't remember the name of the brewing company right now, but I've had a lot of theirs. I can picture the label in my head, but I can't even remember the name of the brewing company. But I very much like IPAs. That one is an easy one, as I like to say, in that it's not too hoppy. Something like this is going to be really hoppy for most people, but something like Stone IPA is not going to be crazy hoppy. Very easy, very, very easy to drink. We got that going. Wow, this is actually moving right along. I thought this was going to take a little longer. We're at about an hour and a half on the live stream, which is not a bad thing. But usually it takes me a while to get things like the water hot, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. But right now we're chugging along. We're chugging along pretty well. I think it's really funny in the beer cabinet there that I have the beer ingredient cabinet. I I've just got Ziploc bags of what is like open corn sugar that was left over from a recipe. Some hops for what I'm going to be doing later, which I guess would be a decent time to do it. Do you think? To do a transfer? No, I don't have another bucket.
I was gonna say I can't find the live chat. I don't think we have it up.
The super chat?
Yeah.
Nice. I don't think you can right now. There's a really good chance that you can't even do it.
There's probably like a subscriber.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I don't know. Can you unsub and resub, see if it goes through?
Well, I just subscribed with
a different one?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see an alert for it.
Yeah, so some stuff might not be working exactly.
Some of the things aren't all the way going through. Apparently. Let's see.
I'm gonna try again.
Tell me if this goes through.
I heard it, but I didn't see it.
It might not be on your phone yet.
Oh, that's true.
Did y'all see that? The little widget, the pop-up.
It hasn't popped up yet. You just said it, yeah. Okay.
Hey, I heard that.
It went through.
Cool.
But that was just your test one.
Yeah, it was just a test. That was fake. I did not subscribe to myself. But I was testing to make sure that that was actually working. Cool. Tucker's here. He just comes in just sneezing up a storm. Sorry, that's my dog, for those of you that don't know. If there was an easy way to show you him, I would. But this is on a webcam, and that would require moving the webcam, and I know that a good number of my friends are relatively motion sick when it comes to like moving cameras and stuff like that, shaky film. And I don't want to do that to them if they're watching. So, but my dog's right there. I'm sure that eventually we'll have set up a puppy cam or something like that. I'll also figure out a way to set up like my phone or something, you know. My first IPA was from Sierra Nevada. You didn't? That doesn't surprise me. IPAs are usually the hardest to get into. It's an acquired taste, as a lot of people say. I could for sure see that. For sure see someone not liking an IPA at first. It's just one of those things where you have to force yourself to drink it. I'm not one to waste things, so if someone gave me a beer, I would probably, in a way, force myself to drink it. To a degree. If I hate it, I'm not going to do it. But as long as I don't hate it, and I probably won't, I would force myself to drink it. That's kind of how it was for me at first with beer. My buddy James would be like, hey, drink this. And I did. And it would be good usually. So eventually it just got to a point to where I was able to do some exploring on my own. And then I started making my own beer. And here we are. Now you're watching me. Weird. Weird how, what a weird turn of events.
I was gonna say maybe it's not working because we're
Live streamed to YouTube? No.
that's why I was like that's probably not the
If anything, it's because I'm using YouTube to live stream it while also having Streamlabs open, opposed to streaming from Streamlabs. Let's see. So, I mean, things are looking good so far, though. Let's see. What happens if I do this? Custom emojis? You can have custom emojis? That's cool. I'm just going to send a silly emoji. Hopefully that looks cool in the stream. It's probably like instant though. The chat's already probably there, huh? Yeah. Kona longboard, I have. I won't say that I had it on accident, but I saw it was one of those things. I liked the can, so I grabbed it. And that's pretty much really where it came from. I do like a lot of different types of beers. I saw that one at one of my gas stations. Oh, not my gas station, but it's the gas station not far from here. And essentially it was just, I saw the can, this looks cool. So I bought it, and I think I've bought it a few times. Not recently though, but I do like the beer. Hopefully you can't hear Tucker drinking water in the background. Hopefully that's not audible. Part of me wants to try to do move the IPA from one bucket to the other, but Wow. Hey, let's not do that. But I don't know how possible that would be currently. It wouldn't be very easy to show, at least. But that's something that I may need to do. That might be an off-stream thing. But we'll go from there. Let's see. Oh, don't mute. There we go. Pause alert, cue, skip alert. Oh, that's pretty cool. I was able to repeat an alert, which was the last one, which was my uncle subscribing. Have I had Voodoo Ranger? Voodoo Ranger is actually my second favorite string of IPAs. I'll say lineup of IPAs because there's like 4, maybe 5 now different Voodoo Rangers. And it's my second favorite lineup. My first is by Dogfish Head. Lagunitas, I have had that one as well. Where I work, at least when I was going to the office, there was a live stream every Thursday with things going on in the company. I work for a global company, so it was about a 2-hour live stream of what was going on, like major things going on across the company. Hey, this person did this really cool thing. This person made a cool thing. This other person did a thing, like kind of like that. But they serve alcohol and food and stuff. It's after hours. It's like 5 o'clock hour time. But I'm not sure if it's a supplier thing, but they are always loaded on Lagunitas. Not sure why. It's just a thing. Yeah, I for sure want to do a little bit more testing of the stream things later on, just to see what else I can kind of do. I do like having the text and stuff here, and then the alert thing over there. I may move it to like the middle or something. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think. I can pretty much move things wherever or do whatever. This was I won't say last minute, but I did it while I was working. So as you can tell, it's very minimal effort. I keep doing that. Very minimal effort. Very minimal effort went into getting this together. I just wanted to make sure that it was easy as far as following along. So right now we're in our hot boil. So let me change these things. Yeah, IPAs, they for sure take a little bit to get used to. It's just one of those things that you have to be open to drinking a lot of them before liking it. Just one of those things. It's easier that way for some beers. Some beers are not that way, and you like it immediately, or you hate it and you're never going to drink it again. For some people, that is IPAs, though. The next step is going to be, after the boil, chilling. So I'm just going to say, next step, chilling. That's what we're doing. We're just going to be chilling. Let's see. Perfect. Cool. Move that out of the way.
Did you see what Jeremy said?
Beer run, but you can only grab one. What am I getting? Wow, that is a really good question. I am just going to assume that this gas station, liquor store, whatever, has all the beer that I want. If I can only grab one beer. Wow, that's a tough one. You stumped me. I'm not even gonna lie. I like a lot of beer, and there's a lot of them jumping. I would probably go with Dogfish Head. I would probably do their 90-minute. The 90-minute IPA is about 9%. It's going to be closer to a double. I don't think they label it as a double, but they do. It is very, very hoppy. The Dogfish Head lineup, the IPA lineup, there's 60, 90, 120-minute, 6%, 9%. This one's a little deceiving. It's actually about 15, I think they say 12 to 17%. It's the way they do those is a little bit different when it comes to the boil. I think that's what the time is, how long the boil is. Don't quote me on that. I've only looked it up a little bit. But essentially the 120 minute, depending on the batch, that's why it's between 12 and like 17%. It's really strong, as you would imagine. The one bar that I've been to that had it on bottle, you can only buy one at a time, one per person, the entire time you're there. Yeah, so if you want one, that's your only drink. I mean, you could have another beer, you could have a different one, but it could not. You can only have one of these per visit, one person per visit. That's partially that's usually for 2 or 3 reasons. The first one being how strong it is. Some people can't handle themselves after 2 5% beers, 2 or 3 6% beers. Who knows what that person's going to do on about the same amount of alcohol content in one beer. They may try to grab another one and then eventually try to dry. I've only had 2 beers. Well, one of them was about 20%. One moment. I guess we need to make sure that doesn't happen in the future.
Alicia was leaving.
Okay, she's breaking errands. Okay, sorry about that. A dog being a dog. He doesn't he doesn't understand streams, so he wouldn't know that we're doing this right now. But, at the door? Could be Lee. Anyway, so now that that's going, but yeah, to answer your question, Jeremy, one beer. I would probably go, the 90-minute IPA by almost at Northern Brewer. 90-minute IPA by Dogfish Head. Let's see what else we got. Beer run for me, I'm getting a chocolate stout. Chocolate stouts are really, really good. It's one of those things that are a little harder to nail. They can be close to being good, but not all of them are good, in my opinion. Feel free to drink whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't drink unless you're 21. Unless you're under 21, don't drink alcohol because that's against the law. At least here in the States. Anyway, chocolate stouts are really good. They're just a little harder to nail. And if it's not really good, it can be just not good. And some people would say bad. I'm probably not going to say that because it's probably going to be good. But it's just one of those things that you have to get right.
Do you remember the name of that sour I tried?
Oh, no, I don't remember the name of the sour. We should probably start documenting these things. That's what I have that beer journal for, but I just never take it with me.
That's the one I mentioned.
That's a good one. I'm probably going to grab the one that's in there next. James, you would do a Belgian triple. I don't blame you. I guess that's right up your alley. You've always liked Belgian triples. I like them in moderation. I would probably start with a Belgian triple, but I don't think I would have more than one. Probably. BJ's has a really good Belgian triple that I can't remember the name of. Monday night draft, hands down. I don't think I've actually had that one. That's for sure worth looking into. Monday night drafty kilt. I don't know if that's kilt hands. I need to look up some of these. I didn't realize that I was so out of touch with some of these beers. That's a slight joke. Only slight because I've had a lot of beer. I do need to, as I was saying, consider. I do need to consider writing some of these things down so I can remember, taking pictures of labels and stuff, just so that I can have a better idea of beers that I've had and that I've liked, especially if I go out of town. Delirium Trimmins, that's the one. I remember that. And Chimay Blue, I think, is the one that they have, that BJ's has. Delirium is that one that has like all that nonsense going on the bottle label, if I remember correctly. I haven't had that in a long time. I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit. Since I have the thermometer in, I've got it. There's a little hook on the side, essentially, and that is creating some space between the lid and the pot. Not that it matters, but some heat is leaving, so it's not as boily as I want it to be. So I'm just going to turn it up a little. Right now, it looks very much like lake water, but with moss in it now. Now that the hops have kind of gone in and dissipated a little bit. If there was an easy way to show you, I would, but there's not. Not yet. Stay tuned. Eventually, the plan is to have other cameras set up. It may look a little weird, but the plan is to have other cameras set up so that we can maybe we could have like a boil cam or something that's like always watching it.
Well, we could put one up on like top of the cabinet, facing down, kind of zoomed in. That way.
Yeah.
It's like it's not visible to.
Right. Well, yeah, but we'll need to get that part figured out here. But I mean, it's possible. We'll figure something
I was just
out.
thinking about buying like 2 other cameras.
We're gonna need some other cameras, some like GoPros or something.
Yeah.
Just some easy ones to just because it has a lot of accessories. You can just suction cup it onto something. Again, this is a lot of this is just on the fly. A lot of the stuff we're doing. Kilt lifter is what I was thinking. That sounds like a really good. I would try that. Kilt lifter. That sounds really, really funny. I would go for it. One thing that's really that's not necessarily off topic. That's a decent investment for your home is a can crusher. If I could show you, I would. Well, we've got a can crusher just over our recycling bin. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and it drastically changes the amount of space that we have in our recycling bin. As you would imagine, in a house like mine, with a bunch of adults, especially one that brews their own beer, we are flying through bottles and cans, so we need as much space as possible. On Amazon, we ordered a can crusher that can crush like double, like tall boy cans. Crush it. I may not crush one on here just because it's loud and it's gonna not sound great on stream. But definitely look into doing something like that because it'll save you a lot of time. And it's nice. I won't say therapeutic, but it's kind of like oddly satisfying. Like just like if you do it properly, it's just like it crushes those that have crushed a can in my home would know. Not everyone has. Not everyone's had that luxury yet. But everyone should get a can crusher. Everyone should get a can crusher. Also, you want to make sure to hydrate with some water. This hot stove and all this talking and drinking.
And the lights.
And the lights can really make you thirsty. So I'm going to fix myself some water. Actually, I'm going to brag a little bit here. I'm just going to... Is that easy to read? How easy to read is that? More ASMR action. ASM more, am I right? ASM, yeah, that works.
I don't know why, but whenever you were scratching your beard, it looked like you were brushing your teeth out of the corner of my eye.
Really? Oh, okay. I hope you noticed my shirt. This shirt I got actually alongside the wort chiller earlier, but one of the local homebrew stores here in Austin Homebrew Supply, has some shirts for sale. I picked one up. It's a hop and grains instead of a skull and bones. This looks like a skull, as you can tell. Wrong hand. It looks like a skull, and this looks like bones, you know? So hopefully it's easy to piece that together. Now we've got the Neon Shades Sour by Tupps Brewery. Sour ale brewed with passion fruit, orange, and guava. That's the part that caught my eye. Neon Shades. Let's see, is that pretty easy to read? I don't really know. Cheers. This is my first time having this. You can't really smell anything. Usually a lot of these sours that have a lot of fruit and citrusy flavors, you can kind of smell it, but I can't really smell anything. It's got a cool yellowish greenish color. Hold on. At my last job, my coworkers, my bosses, knew that I was into beer, was brewing it myself. So they got me these glasses. Here, I'll put my hand behind it so you can kind of read it. I give in. Here, I'll pour beer in it. It's usually easier. Wow, how is that happening?
That's very, very...
This is super light colored. I won't say foggy, but you can kind of see through it in certain parts. I guess not on camera, but it's a nice color, nice body to it. But I give in to beer pressure. Funny, right? It's a good pour outside of what I spilled. Not sure how it spilled either. It is a cool can, I agree. Again, usually it's these cans that catch my eye, just the color. And then I look at it and read it. Oh, that sounds good, and I just grab it. I'm thinking what I might do with my label. What's really nice about these labels is they're usually, you can usually just put it not only on a can, but also on a bottle. When it comes to my labels, I'm probably going to make something like this. That way, no matter what I'm putting it in, likely a bottle at first, just because it's easier. But it's the same label, same size. One thing I really like on this is it gives you a profile here. Cool, right? I don't know what the words say. I know what they say if I looked at them, but I just don't want to. I can kind of smell it now that it's out of the can, now that I've got a little bit more room to work with. I can smell the guava, I think. I don't really smell the citrus very much, just because there's a lot in it, but I think that's the guava, maybe the passion fruit, or maybe some of the other stuff that's in it, I don't know. Yeah, it's got a little bite to it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, coming from a sour. It's good. I don't know where Tufts is out of. I like to know usually just because I don't necessarily travel often, but when I do leave Austin, when I do leave home, I like to have local beer to that area. And I try not to get the same beer in different places, just to expand my palate, let's say. Wow, that was weird. I guess I gotta slow down.
Start slurring your words.
Hey Google, how much is left on my timers? Mm-hmm. Cool. So we've got about 16 minutes left on the first part of our boil. I guess the first, this first half, let's say, the first timer. It'll be pretty much the end of the boil by the time we're done. But here in a bit, we're going to add these three ingredients: the hops, the dry malt extract, and the corn sugar. We're going to add all of that in slowly but surely. Don't call me Shirley.
You haven't even seen it.
That doesn't mean I don't get to make a joke.
No, you don't. You're not allowed to make the joke. You're not allowed to reference a movie you haven't seen.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't a movie that you haven't seen, dude. Yeah, that's right.
What?
I'm just cleaning off the ladle a little bit. I apologize for not being on camera. Okay, so now I've got this. I'm gonna have to stir again, so I'm gonna put this into. Well, the temperature's pretty high. I don't necessarily need to sanitize right now. I'm gonna sanitize anyway. It's a nice bucket. It's a weird sentence, but it's true. So right now, I just put the ladle, spun it around in the bucket of sanitizer. I took my hand and kind of rubbed it up the side of it just to make sure that all the parts that are going to be in contact with the wort. Wort is the brewer's term for unfermented beer, what we've got right now. Essentially, anything after the grains go in, before the yeast, is called wort. So anything that's in contact with the wort, you want it to be sanitized. Right now, it's less a big deal because of the temperature. But after the temperature goes down, that's when it truly, truly matters. How have I not seen an airplane? I have not put it on a TV and stared at it for an hour and a half. I know about that part, and that's pretty much it, the Shirley part. I think that's the only part I know about the whole movie. Yep, that's the only part I know about the whole movie. That is not my fault. It's the fault of everyone around me. Anyone could have shown me that movie. It's not my fault for not having watched it. It's everyone else's fault for not showing it to me. At least that's what I'm telling myself.
I told you to watch it. It's on Netflix right now.
Oh. Okay, well, I guess I have to watch it now. This is the first time someone has ever told me to watch it. Yeah, this is, I'm thinking the color of this beer is going to be a little darker than this, believe it or not, just based on where it is right now. As well, we haven't added, this is going to clear it up a little bit. I won't say clear it up, but this is going to bring up the color a little. This probably won't do much. We don't have very much in the way of hops. We have more in malt extract than we do in hops. So there's a chance that this is just going to overpower the hops as far as color is concerned. So that may make it a little bit easier as far as the color. I would expect the beer to come out to about this color, just a really light, super yellow color. But I don't think that's the case. It may not turn out that yellow. But I guess we'll have to see what the dried malt extract does. Oh yeah, I guess since if you did unsubscribe, resubscribe, it didn't go through. I didn't get any. There was no alert, so I guess we got to test that later on. I'm sure eventually we can just go straight from Streamlabs. It should have been that way in the first place. That probably would have made it easier, right? Instead of going through both, because going through YouTube is not going to do anything. So we probably have like 10 more minutes left on this part of the boil. Usually this is the part where you would start to prepare. I've done a lot of that already. So right now it's just a matter of getting this stuff ready. I'm going to move those over because I don't need them for now. So here in a bit we're going to put those ingredients in. I'm going to stir at the same time. This is when things get at its worst, I would argue. Personally, I don't like just stirring for 20 minutes at a time. Hopefully this doesn't take that long. It shouldn't. We have another timer going, so hopefully we're still able to make that, getting the wort chiller inside of the wort, but we'll cross that bridge later. It's a good sour. That bite I mentioned earlier. What I mean by that is the tartness on the front end. The back end is usually what you call the aftertaste. But that punch that you get right when it touches your tongue, that's when it's at its most flavorful, I would say. It's really, really good there. And then it almost goes away right after. I'm not sure specifically what they did to get it that way, because the flavor doesn't last crazy long. I mean, I guess it does, because you remember what it tastes like after after it goes down. But I wonder, it'd be interesting. I guess we'll have to brew a sour, a true sour. Again, what we're doing right now is a saison, but I'll have to brew a true sour in order to get that full effect of it. Oftentimes, two things combine so perfectly that the end result is far greater than the sum of its parts. Peanut butter and jelly, macaroni and cheese, Hall & Oates, the list goes on. I'm reading this. I'm just reading this off the recipe. With this simple recipe, the same holds true. Pronounced flavors of lemon, melon, and herbal undertones make Lemondrop hops a natural fit for the fruity esters and spicy phenolics? 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 Phenolics. Phenolics. Someone phonetically spell that for me. Inherent to the classic Saison style. Pouring with perfect synergy, Lemondrop Saison flaunts a deep golden color, so I was kind of right. It's going to be darker than this. I lost my place. Oh, a deep golden color, moderate bitterness, a dry finish, and astounding depth of flavor. Be sure to ferment this recipe on the warm side to ensure full flavor development. Essentially what they're talking about is after it goes into the bucket here in about an hour or so, once it gets into the bucket, they're saying that if you let it sit in a little bit warmer temperature than normal, the usual fermenting, don't quote me on this, but I think the proper fermenting temperature is like 68 to 74, I think, 68 degrees to 74 degrees, something along those lines. So for this, it may be easier to have it on the higher end, just to make sure that it actually can fully develop. It sounds like if it's not hot enough, it may underdevelop. It might not be as ready as it would have been if the temperature were just a little bit higher. It's still looking good. We're pushing 220 degrees in heat, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying. I'm going to check something real quick. Hopefully this doesn't break anything. Okay. I just wanted to make sure my laptop wasn't dying. So we probably have about 5 or so more minutes left on that first timer. We may need to consider that it's going to take me a little bit of time to get all these in it. I'm not just going to dump this and then dump this and dump this. I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful than that. So it may take some time. So we may have to ignore that second timer and give it just a little bit more time after I'm done. That would at least give me a little time to get the hose set up, plugged into the wort chiller, and then get the wort chiller prepped so that it can go in. Who that?
Jennifer.
I can't see. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's now working.
That's cool. That's great. Cheers, Jennifer. Thanks for watching. I hope everyone's enjoying themselves so far. Hopefully you've also got a drink. I'm not drinking alone. If you're 21, of course. But these types of processes can take a while. Mostly because all you're doing is this, essentially just waiting. Like this is the first part that a lot of you might not have seen was just getting the water hot so that I could put the grains in. I started it probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes before the stream actually started, just to get the water going. Some recipes call for you to get it boiling first before doing anything. And that's usually when it takes the longest, just because you've got 2.5 gallons of water sitting inside this kettle, and you're just waiting for it to get hot. You know, you've got we got a gas stove, so it works pretty well. So we're just pumping gas to it in hopes that it just gets hot as fast as possible. Sometimes that can take a while, as you would imagine. It's a really good beer. I couldn't imagine this coming out of a tap. Mostly because I feel like it's not very carbonated, and usually beers that come out of tap can be really carbonated, just because you're forcing carbonation through it, opposed to letting something else carbonate it, like the priming sugar. The kegs, I mean, I have a kegerator. A lot of that, if you guys remember, the first live stream I did on my Instagram, I was able to kind of move around and show off a little bit more. This is a little bit more fixed. Eventually, we will be able to do that, but right now, we're kind of stuck with where we're at. But the kegerator, I am officially out of beer. It's completely empty. I can actually get the keg out now that we've got a little bit of time. I'll get the keg out. I can't do anything with it, but...
You okay?
It'll be fine, yeah.
I mean, are you okay?
Oh, me? I'm fine. I thought I was like pointing at this because moisture. I'll turn it off. All right, so this is my pride and joy here. This is a keg. This is an 8-gallon keg. It's exactly what it sounds like. This paired with a CO2 canister, a little bit of tubing, a faucet, and what we call a tower, and a mini fridge, gets you a Kegarator. Essentially, it's just a tall mini fridge with a keg inside, a CO2 canister for carbonation, and then the top of the mini fridge is actually sawed out, part of it at least. You put a tower on top, a cylinder. It's essentially a cylindrical tower with a faucet coming out, with a spigot. The spigot's where you actually pour. You've seen a movie. You've been in a restaurant where you've watched them pour the beer. It's the same thing. It's a little less fancy, but this is what's called a ball lock keg. What's interesting about this is that right there, the way it's opened. I can't open it right now. I guess I could. Yeah, I'll open it. Why not? But these types of kegs versus a restaurant keg, those are called commercial kegs. Sounds pretty simple. The difference is these are meant to be opened and cleaned and almost immediately reused. The other kegs, not so much. They can be opened and reused, but you need lots of bigger machinery for stuff like that. And at home, you're not going to have that. You can. The other kegs, I'll even show you. Hold on, I can go get the other keg. Actually, will you get the keg? I don't know if I can do that.
Oh, the other keg?
Yeah, it's in the closet. Just one of them. The Modelo was lighter. But the benefit to these is you can just open it, fill it. It's essentially the same way you would a bottle, except instead of using this bottling wand, you would just let the tube go inside, and as long as it's not splashing onto the bottom, it'll be fine. But these can be opened, cleaned, filled, sealed, and you put CO2 in it, and essentially you can have beer within about an hour coming out of the tap. With a bottle, it takes about 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks to carbonate properly, so it can take a while. So we've got the ball lock keg versus your commercial keg. It looks a little different, but essentially the same thing. This is also an 8-gallon keg. This came with my Kegarator. I bought the Kegarator online from a dude here in Austin. He used to party back in the day, and he doesn't so much now. He said that he had a lot of people over all the time, but times have changed, so he doesn't have nearly as many people over, and hasn't used his Kegarator. So he put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I bought it from him. These kegs work really well. The downside is they're not as easy to open there, so you can kind of see. It's not easy to open. You can kind of see this opening right here, right there, that opening. You need a special tool to get in there to be able to open it up. I don't have that. That tool costs more than this keg by itself. This keg and the other stuff I needed to make sure this worked. That tool is expensive. And these kegs are better because they take less effort. This was almost a waste of money had I bought this. I mean, I do have another one because I made a lot of mistakes when I was first getting it up and running, let's say. But this is the one that it came with. It's got about this much of Modelo left in it. The downside is this Modelo is about a year old, so I'm not going to drink this. But with the ball lock keg, you can see this. This is a pressure relief valve right here. This guy right there. And you pull up on it, and it's going to be loud, so I'll give you a heads up. But you pull up on it to release the pressure from the inside. It's completely sealed. It's not a vacuum, but it is completely sealed. CO2 doesn't get out, oxygen doesn't get in, beer doesn't get out, blah, blah, blah. And releasing this pressure makes it a little bit easier. It frees up space to let more CO2 in and push the beer out. Blah, 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 science, science, science. I'm going to pull this just a little bit. It's going to be kind of loud. It's going to sound like air releasing. I have to do this anyway to open it, so just give me 1 second. That's one timer. Hey Google, stop the timer. This is what's called burping the keg. So I pulled up on it. That releases all the pressure out of it. You want to do that before opening it because if you open it, you're not going to be able to open it with pressure on the inside. If you are able to, it's going to pop and be really loud and hurt your hand. So don't. So our first timer went off. Hey Google, cancel my second timer. I don't want that second timer going off because this is going to take a second for me to get going. The recipe says for the hops first, so we're going to do that. Oh, wait. Wow. Smell that. Cool, right?
I can't wait to taste that.
That smells really good. I wish I could let you guys smell it, but you can at least see the hops on the inside. They're just pellets, nothing too crazy. I showed this last time, but a lot of people don't get to look at it. Let me do that. I'm trying to find the center. There we go.
It's so tiny.
Alright, this smells really, really, really good. The aroma is lemon, orange, grapefruit, citrus, blackberry, super cascade, and balsam. The last things I don't really know, I said that earlier, but you don't necessarily smell each one. But I may use these hops in the future because they smell really good. Zach can attest. So I'm going to add these to the boil. Let me go ahead and get the other things over here. This is what's actually going to take a minute, so... Excuse me. My apologies. So I'm just going to add this right in. Nothing too crazy. Hopefully you can't hear the ice cream man. Oh, that's the song. Never mind. Never mind. That is the song that is playing. It sounded like ice cream man. So I'm going to get my ladle ready. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and pour the dry malt extract in, but slowly, a little slowly. I really want to make sure that it's not going to clump up. It's kind of clumping up already, so I'm going to not even pour any and just stir. I'm going to keep stirring because it's kind of clumping quite a bit. I may need to turn the heat down just a touch. I shouldn't need to turn the heat down. I'll just be more careful. Let me get the stir going first. Wow, that is clumping up very quickly. I can only imagine it's likely because of the heat. So I'm going to keep stirring. I am mixing in a little bit of the some of the hops and stuff, the remainder of the hops that was like on the walls, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's happening. I really don't want to just add the dry malt extract because that's again how it clumps up and that's how you get foggy, dirty looking beer. And I don't want that. I want those that drink this to know that it's good. It may taste good, but just looking at it may throw you off. So there are some beers. There's a beer type called a Hefeweizen, German. And those you can get unfiltered, and you actually see some things floating in it. Now, specifically what it is, I don't know. I have not brewed a Hefeweizen before, but they're super light. I've drank them. I've drank unfiltered Hefeweizens before. Unfiltered, it just looks like you can see particles and stuff floating in it. Take that how you want. Okay, so I guess the benefit of the heat is that it breaks up the clumps pretty well. It does kind of create them. They're still here. But just the sheer heat kind of breaks them up a little bit more, which is nice. Let's see. for those that were with me last stream, they remember that this does take a little bit. This is probably the least interesting part of it. Let me try swapping sides to make it a little bit easier to see, so you're not just looking at my back the whole time. Ooh! Okay, I'm just going to get the thermometer out. It's just kind of in the way. So I'm adding a little bit of the dry malt extract in at a time. It's kind of some of the moisture from just from the heat and the steam is creating some clumps on the bag that you may be able to see. You can kind of see it's a little crusty there on the edges. Wow, this heat really is breaking up the clumps. Maybe I can just dump it all in. Maybe not all at once, but I can for sure be a little bit less nice with it. Let's see. This is coming along really nicely. I can for sure I'm starting to see that golden brown, that deep, dark golden brown color they mentioned in the recipe, in the ingredients. I'm starting to see that now, especially since I mixed in the dead hops. The spent hops is what they call them. I say they like I'm not doing this myself, like I'm not part of they. I'm going to start just pouring in a little bit more at a time now, so I can kind of see the heat doing it what it does. Why am I sniffly now?
Yeah, I was like that.
I don't know why I'm so sniffly all of a sudden.
Yeah, I stopped and I guess you took it.
You can have them back.
I'm good.
Oh. So we're pushing, oh wait, no, never mind. The thermometer is not actually in the wort right now. I was going to say we're pushing 160 degrees, but that's just talking about just above the wort. Wow, it is clumping up a lot there. And on this plastic, I mean. Sorry, hopefully I didn't startle anyone. Honestly, I don't want to just dump the whole thing in, but man, this heat, this boiling is really doing a number on these clumps. So this next step after this is just going to be letting it sit for maybe 5 minutes, maybe, and then we're going to add in the last round of hops. And then after that, we're going to chill it. So once I do that, I'm going to let it about sit for just a few minutes. While it's sitting, I'm going to prep the wort chiller. So you may not see me for a minute, but I'm going to try to get this wort chiller ready because I have to hook it up to my water hose. Come on, let's get going. There we go. Nice circular rotation. My arm is getting tired, so like it's getting a little harder to stir, but what is pain, right?
What is that?
Time to swap arms. Throw that in there. Wow, it's breaking up really, really easily in this heat. I've had, in the past, I made the mistake of adding the dry malt extract in too soon. I won't say too soon, but too much at a time, where it did clump up. And the heat wasn't so high. This recipe that I'm referring to had you add in the dried malt extract off of heat, so it wasn't boiling at the time. Not sure specifically why, but I mean, I'm just following the recipe. But I wasn't careful, and it was really foggy. It looked dirty. It looked nasty. It still tasted fine, but I have high standards. So. Get this off the side here, get it off the wall. I want that. I accidentally got some of the extract, some of the malt on the wall of the kettle. Not that it matters that much, but I want to make sure it gets as much flavor gets into the beer as possible. I mentioned I was going to get the thermometer off. It was less the idea that I had originally, but it got off nonetheless. But yeah, it's just not ideal to have the clumps and stuff in it. The beer still tasted fine, but I just have high standards when it comes to what I work on. So, whew, this is getting hot. Just trying to get every amount of it that I can, all the major clumps that are on this plastic. It's about the best I can do without scraping it off. So I'm just going to set that in the sink for now and keep stirring. Once I see that there's no more clumps, I'm going to go ahead and start prepping that wort chiller. Wow, this. I wish I could show the color. I may try to get some of the glass, like get a glass and put it in there, and then show the color because this is like super brown right now. Once it boils a little bit more, it should change a little bit more, and then we're gonna add more hops. So I can only imagine what it may look like. Can you touch the trackpad on my laptop? So no clumps currently. I'm gonna pull the ladle out, cover it back up. I'm gonna turn the heat down just a touch. I do want it to get back to a boil, but I don't want it to be too hot. Wash my hands. This is all the result of messing around with the dry malt extract. Yeah, you can go ahead and shut it off for now, I guess. Wow, look at all this just stuff in the kitchen now. Okay, so let me get this wort chiller prepared. I'm gonna go attach the water hose to the thing outside. Actually, Zach, can you do that? And then I'll just get the...
What are you gonna do with it?
I may just however close I can get it. So if you can just hook it up, you can leave that thing on it for now, but I'll just take it off once I hook up the wort chiller. Thanks, man. Wow, that is good. So this sour is about 5 and some change, 5.2%, I think it was. Not crazy strong. It's about average, I would argue. Some brewing companies and some beers are a little bit lighter, or not lighter, but less strong. 5.2 is about your average, at least in alcohol percentage. Maybe 5.5, 5.7. It smells really good now that I got it into the glass. It smells pretty good. I'm gonna go start cleaning up. Continue cleaning up, rather. So with the wort chiller, here in a bit, I'm gonna go ahead and add this to the wort while it's on the heat. Again, to make sure that the the bacteria gets off of it. Usually you would go about sanitizing the tubing and stuff too, but no beer is actually going to get in contact with the tubing. The inside of the tubing, yes, but luckily it's just water that's going through it, not beer. So the beer doesn't have to be the water doesn't have to be sanitized, since best case scenario, it's not actually touching. It's not actually going to touch the beer. It's just going to be used to transfer the heat. Sorry, I got to fix my hair up. All that heat standing over the stove there. Okay, so I do need to expand this just a little bit, just to make sure that it can fit or cover the height of the wort. So it looks like we are at least able to keep doing this inside. Let me find a way to get this over there, and I will be right back. I'm going to set up a little thing. Let's see what we have. Welcome back. Hopefully that wasn't too long. Currently what we're doing right now is I've got the wort on the floor over here. You can't see it. Let me see if I can change that. Yeah, so I've got the wort right there. You can kind of see it. I do have the wort chiller inside it. I'm going to go ahead and hook up the water hose to it, get some water going through it. We do need, will you grab that bucket right there? Because I need to displace this other water. Didn't think about that.
That was one contribution.
So I've got, thank you. Where's that package of hops? All right, somewhere. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in this other package of hops. I'll show that to you.
Do we turn on the water?
Yeah, go ahead and shut it on. This is the Lemondrop hops again, so it's the same type of hops from earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and add this to the wort. It's still pretty hot, so it's quite all right. So now we've officially got water going through. You may be able to hear the water going through the wort chiller. But now we're just trying to use the wort chiller to chill it all. That way it gets as cold as possible. I'm not as cold as possible, but cool to about 100 degrees from the 200 it was sitting at. We want to get it to about 100 degrees as fast as possible. Is it leaking?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll have to find a way around that next time. Yeah, so the water that's pumping out is pretty hot. Not crazy hot, but it's pretty hot. The wort chiller itself, not crazy hot, but it's pumping water through. What we're trying to do is just get it to that 100-degree mark as fast as possible. There is a tiny bit of a leak, but nothing a rag can't fix. This smells really good, by the way. Like really, 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 really good. Those Lemondrop hops smell amazing. I'm gonna go get the thermometer. It did hit the floor, so I've got it in sanitizer right now. We got it in sanitizer right now. I will be right back.
Why are they so close though?
What am I getting?
I don't remember.
Oh yeah, thermometer. What was that? Oh no! It fell out of the bucket. That's all right. Oh, that's filling up really quickly. I'm gonna go ahead and get the thermometer back in. Wow, it is. So the idea is to have it. We may need to use the other bucket too. Can you get like something else to put that sanitizer in?
Sanitizer in this bucket?
Yeah, from there into something else. Maybe even sealing the sink and just dumping it into the sink. Yeah, you're gonna need that. We got a gallon left before this starts to overflow. Right now, we're just getting another bucket to use so that we can make sure to get rid of that hot water. Thank you. So the wort chiller, it's a 25-foot metal wiring essentially that will, again, it's just a heat conductor. It sends cold water through the wort chiller, absorbs the heat from the wort, and then passes that, kind of just trades that heat off. Refresh the chat. The rating for this, it says it can chill. Oh, dude, why does it keep happening? Can you go get a towel for me from somewhere? Hey, I guess that's the benefit of doing this live, right? You get to watch all the mistakes. Wow, this is making a mess. Okay. It's supposed to chill about 5 gallons of wort in about 10 minutes. So the idea is to let it chill for maybe another 6 or so minutes. After that, it should be close to 100 degrees. Once it's no longer warm to the touch, we can start prepping to add the yeast. So we're almost done, actually. I don't know, I guess there's not much else to add into it other than the yeast and extra water to get it to where it needs to be. And a pound of corn sugar that I somehow forgot to put in. This is not going to go well. I actually forgot to put the corn sugar in. Again, luckily this is like one of those, it's a suggestion, not a rule. So we should be alright to add this in right now. It's still pretty hot, so it's not going to, it should dissolve the sugar pretty fast. It's sinking right now. Will you give me the label? Added the 1 pound of corn sugar. I'm going to stir it around just a little bit, just to make sure that it gets going. Oh, we need to fill up this other bucket. We need to dump this bucket. Oh, we can do that right now. Let's dump it else. Oh, will you take care of that? Justin! That wasn't me, dude. Hey, at least it's funny, right?
I just pulled these pants out of the
Next time it will be more stable. Woo. Well, this is fun. It wouldn't be a live stream if there weren't mistakes, right? I wouldn't even call it a mistake. We didn't even make a mistake. It's just physics. The pressure of the water just keeps pushing it out of the bucket.
I'll be able to add those to the actual video.
Will?
From the stream, yeah. Of us, of it just like falling out.
We'll have a blooper reel put together. So already, it's been worth it, even despite the mess, because we're already at almost 120 degrees. For those that were with us last time, you would know, if you remember, we were pushing with ice in the sink and some water. It probably took 20, 30 minutes for it to chill, so arguably 3 times as long. We're already at 120 degrees, which means here in 3-4 more minutes we'll be right around 100. Once it's no longer warm to the touch, we'll start adding some water. But let me go grab the, I'm gonna go grab the recipe just to make sure that we're not missing anything. I'm gonna be right back.
Power seriously from here.
Barely. The power. Okay, so now I've got the. I just went ahead and tossed the. It's filling up already. Right now I just went ahead and tossed the yeast into the sanitizer. After. Oh no. What? Fun stuff. So once I put the yeast in the sanitizer, we're with the recipe. Now I will be able to fill a primary fermenter with 2 gallons of cold water, then pour the cooled wort into it. Leave any thick sludge on the bottom. Make sure to get it to 5. Make sure to get it to 5 gallons. Aerate the wort, seal the fermenter, and rock back and forth, splash for a few moments. Use an aeration system and a diffusion stone. I don't have those last 2 things, but that's all right. Seal the fermenter and add approximately 1 tablespoon of. Oh, okay, I see. What?
How did you take it out?
What? So about 4 more minutes, and we'll be good to get it out of and stop this madness. Madness that is a wort chiller. Wow, this is just messy.
I gotta rewash my shower towels now.
Let's see. So if anything, we should be able to. I mean, luckily this isn't the worst mess to clean up. It's just water. You can get the mop and just let the mop reverse mop it. Just rather than putting water on the ground, use the mop to dry it up. Wow, this wort chiller is working really, really well. It's already worth the money. This one was $40. There are more expensive ones, but this one was only $40.
Better than buying 20 bags of ice.
Yeah, we've already, of all the brews I've made, I could have bought a wort chiller with all the ice that I spent money on. Can you bring a bucket over? Because I can just put the water in the bucket.
In this bucket?
Yeah, because we're already filling up.
That defeats the purpose.
And well, oh, good point. Oh, then we need to do something with this bucket.
Well, yeah, I guess put it in the one now. This isn't the one.
No?
I don't think so. I think this mop is too, little.
Alright, so I guess we just need more towels. Let's, yeah. Okay, so, moving on, make sure those are clean. Alright, so we're almost at 100 degrees already, which is crazy. So here in a bit, I'm going to go ahead and turn the water off. There's no point to have it on now. Next time, I may do it on the other side. I think there's one on that side too. If I think.
There's
No,
one
it's on the front though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that might not do it.
Dude! Whoa. Distracted me. Look at
Oh wow, I'm so sorry. Good point. I just brought in dirt and stuff. Okay. All right. Now that mess is over, so pretty much what we need to do now, we are going to. I'm gonna move things back over there, so you may see it go down for and I won't say go down, but you'll see my handy dandy "Be Right Back" banner, so I can get the laptop and such back over there. In the meantime, I'm gonna move the laptop, clean up this mess, and then start prepping for the last stages of this part of what we're doing. I guess there's no reason not to live stream this part since I'm already there. All I have to do is just keep going. And then I'm just gonna change the current step to, what are we doing right now? I guess it's just the final. I'll just call it final, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, done. All right, awesome. Looks good. I'm gonna keep the next step as chilling because that's all we're gonna do after. After I move this over, we're gonna take the wort, get it some more water into one of these buckets. I'm gonna sanitize the bucket first, put some water in it, put the wort in it, and then we're gonna go from there. But I'll show that part. It's just a matter of getting set up here. So let me do that. I'm gonna move this laptop, and I'm gonna be right back. So, welcome back. Thanks for staying, assuming you did. Okay, so now it's just a matter of getting about 2 gallons of water into one of our carboys, the bucket, the fermenting bucket. Get about 2 gallons in there, pour the wort into it, get it up to about 5 gallons, seal it, stir it up a little bit.
Sorry, I really had to go.
Stir it up a little bit, and then put some yeast in it. I'm going to... Yeah, things look good so far. Make sure that there's no, like... There's going to be sediment and stuff just from the other hops and such. But I want to make sure there's no clumps from the dry malt extract. That's my only concern currently. The clumps, the chunky stuff at the bottom is what we call kreuzen. It's like the crust of all the stuff you put into it. There we go. That I don't want into it, so I'm gonna add some water, pour it in there. But first, let me clean one of the buckets. Next time I might try to maybe go over the fence and pull it through the window. Ooh. Just so that it stays in the that's why it's okay. That way it stays in the sink. We don't have to worry about it doing that again. So I'm gonna take one of our Northern Brewer buckets. Gonna take this, fill it up with a bit of oil. First I'm gonna put some stuff in it. I'm going to, oh, what's up, Jonathan? Yeah, clumps. Yeah, we don't want any of that. I'm going to put some water in here, or some sanitizer first. Get it, swash it around, make sure it's all nice and clean. Put some water in it, and then we're going to put the wort in it. So give me 1 second. I don't know an easy way to do this. I'm just taking some of the sanitizer. We put it in the sink and sealed it. I'm just taking some of the sanitizer out. Wow. So I've got it in the bottom here. You want to do one of these. Lay it kind of flat, not so that you're pouring it out, but so that some of the sanitizer is getting along the walls. You want to do this maybe once or twice. You want every inch covered. I'm also going to... Oh, this is what we were talking about with the salt. Adding salt to the ice bath so that it can cool it down faster. I don't need to do that anymore. I bought a wort chiller. So the wort chiller essentially just transfers the heat, takes care of that for you. So now we just cut that process. We cut almost that entire process. I no longer need to buy ice. I no longer need to worry about the salt thing, keeping it cold. The wort chiller, as long as you have a place for the water to go, is a really simple, easy solution. I'm going to get 2 gallons of water into that bucket. After it's in there, I'm going to go ahead and get the wort into it. We'll shake it around, and then we'll put the yeast in. Let me grab the recipe to make sure I'm not missing anything. Be right back. Everything good? Oh, it's not that bad. Yeah, already. Okay, sanitize. I do need to get the airlock in there. It looks like we're going to use the Nor. Maybe I can't use this bucket unless the other lid will fit it. It looks like it will. So I should be able to use this bucket here, the Northern Brewer bucket, for fermenting. Still getting 2 gallons of water in. I thought it was at 2, but it wasn't. I've got the airlock in the sanitizer now. So we got that going. Again, we're brewing Northern Brewers Lemondrop Saison. There we go. I'm getting better at it. Right now, what we're doing, that's probably 2 gallons. Almost 3. Perfect. So I've got about 2 gallons in this primary fermenter. Fill primary fermenter with 2 gallons of cold water, then pour in the cooled wort. Leave any thick sludge on the bottom. Okay, so now it should just be a matter of pouring this in there. Gonna get the ladle out. Getting the thermometer off. And now I'm just gonna pour the wort in. And then after that, we're gonna add some more water to get it up to 5 gallons. This is a 5-gallon recipe. 5 gallons equals about 40, 45, about 48 beers. It kind of depends. I'm a little shaky on that because it kind of depends on the amount of sludge on the bottom, because obviously you don't want any, so you're not gonna get that last inch or two. So that may be 1 beer you're losing. So it kind of depends. But anywhere between 40 to 50 beers. So we'll be set for a few weeks. Of course, I'll be giving, like I said, about half of this to Uncle Phil, or however much he wants. It's essentially his recipe. So I'm going to give him however much he wants, and then keep the rest here. I'm going to go take it one step at a time, but let me see. Add cold water as needed. Okay, so we should be good to go ahead and pour that wort in. So the bottom isn't hot anymore, and I'm just going to pour it in. Hopefully you can see. You want to be careful with splashing. You don't want to add too much oxygen to it, at least not to the mixture. I don't see very much sludge just yet, but once I start to see it, I'm going to stop pouring. I guess when I stirred, a lot of it kind of dissipated into the beer, so we for sure need to do that secondary fermentation. That step is kind of a suggestion. Hey, this would be nice if you did it. You don't have to, but yeah, there's the sludge. So I'm going to get a little bit more in. Maybe not. That is all sludge. Okay. So I should be able to show you what we're working with now. This is the kettle that we've had on the stove over the last 2 hours. I'm sorry, I'm going to move the camera. I'm going to do it slowly though. What's up, y'all? Good to see you.
You could just put your thumb over it, that way it's black. And...
Oh, good point. So this is what we're looking like now. Disgusting, right? It's a little hard to see just because the way the light is reflecting off. Oh. But super, super muddy. You can kind of see there. Wow, that is really hard to see. Oh, my hand's all disgusting and stuff for no reason now. Yeah, so that's all the stuff we don't want. Yeah, yummy, exactly. Hopefully that lines itself back up. Move that over. There we go. All right. Yeah, for those that couldn't see it, in case it wasn't easy to see, this is all the stuff we are missing. Which is good. We don't want this. It's disgusting. Yeah, it just, I don't know, it just smells like hops. It's kind of hard to explain, I suppose. Actually, toss all that in here. Move that over. So now that that's done, beer count?
What?
You get a beer count?
10. So.
Cool. That's awesome. So now I'm going to move the bucket from right there, put it in the sink, which I can probably just twist this over so you can see that. And I'm going to add just a little bit more water to it. Then we're going to seal it, shake it around a little bit, not too much, but just kind of spin it. And then we'll add the yeast. Just give me just 1 second. Alrighty. What's this from? I don't know what this could be from. It looks like a rubber stopper for something that I don't really know what it could be for. Hopefully I don't need it.
It didn't go inside that?
And this? No, this already has one. Anyway, I guess we're just going to keep moving. Alrighty. So I'm going to move this to the sink. So this is what we're working with now. So I'm actually gonna use this part of the sink. I don't know what you actually call this thing, but I don't want it to go through the faucet because that's gonna make a lot of splashing. So I'm gonna take this, spray it along the side. That way, as the water gets into it, it kind of swirls it a little bit rather than just going right on top and splashing. This is gonna prevent that oxygen from getting in it. So I'm gonna do that. Pull up a little bit more. And I'm just going to get it up to 5 gallons. So as you can tell, it's not too bad. I'm adding cold water because I do want the temperature to get down. The yeast is going to work better at the lower temperatures. But you want as minimal splashing. It is a little loud and I apologize. That is not better. Hey! Okay, that's way more manageable. Anyway, how y'all doing?
The lid?
The lid?
Yeah, you can like hold the lid.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, it's fine. I do need to sanitize the lid though. So we're almost at 5 gallons. I'm gonna go over 5 gallons so that I can use some of it to test. I do want to test what's, essentially it's testing the gravity of the wort. By doing that, taking the gravity reading before yeast, before fermentation, and then taking the same rating after the yeast, after the fermentation, taking the difference of those two numbers and then multiplying that by like 131 point something something something, that gives you your alcohol content. So right now, the beer we're brewing should be around 5.2. That's ideal if everything's perfect. But there's a good chance it might not be perfect. So I'm going to test that. I'm going to get, let's see, let me make sure this is where we're at. Let's see. So right now we just added it to get to 5 gallons. I'm going to close it and seal it. Spin it around a little bit. And then take the gravity reading. So I'm going to open it back up, and then we'll go from there. So let me try that. I'm going to sanitize the lid first. Beer is going to splash up against it, and I want to make sure that it's sanitized. At least the inside, you don't need to sanitize the outside of it, at least the top of the lid, because beer in theory shouldn't test that, or touch that rather. So depending on the airlock that you're using, this one is, I think it's called a tri-chamber. Don't quote me on that, but it does give you a fill line. So hopefully you can see that. Probably, nope, you're not gonna be able to see it. It's clear. Anyway, let's shoot for 10. Next time we can for sure have a much stronger beer. I'll shoot for a stronger one next time. With this Saison, with it being lemony, there's probably not much room for malt, so it's not going to be as strong. There's a lot of sugar, so that's probably where the alcohol content's coming from anyway. But next beer, we can push for 10. Okay, so put the airlock into the bung hole. That's what it's called. I'm going to seal it. There we go. So now I'm going to rock it back and forth just to kind of get it all mixed up, mix it in a little bit better. Just gonna shake it a little bit. You can you can see it moving. Yeah, so we're just aerating it. I do have the airlock on, so no air is getting in. But if you may not be able to see it, but this little thing is moving up and down as the bubbles are leaving. This is a really cool airlock. So I'm aerating it just to make sure that it can mix in. Right now, oxygen isn't awful, but once the yeast gets in there, you really want to make sure that it's as stable as possible with as little additives. Anything added in outside of like hops can be not good for it. So you want to mitigate, rather, not mediate. You don't want to just sit between them and watch and make sure everything's okay. You want to prevent it from happening as best you can. So I would say it's aerated enough. I'm gonna put it back in the sink. Open her up. Wow, this lid is way easier to use. Look at this, Zach. Oh, it's already off. The other lid for the Northern Brewer one, it's great, but it is very tight. It is very sealed. Once it's sealed, it's sealed. Usually I have to get like a rag in between the fingers and like pry it open. This one was a lot easier to use. What do we have here? Oh, it's just family talking to family. I like it. I need to be where you are. Jonathan, you know where we live. Uncle Phil lives 5 minutes up the road. If you come here, you can see Uncle Phil in the same, essentially almost at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to get my hydrometer flask, take it, sanitize it, dip it into the beer, or the wort rather, test it. I have a hydrometer, which is essentially like a weighted thing. Depending on where the surface level of the wort is, I'm going to jot that down, and then jot it down again in a couple weeks after the yeast has had a chance to work. So it looks like, yeah, now it's time to measure it. Now it's time to measure the gravity. Alrighty. So that's still in there. I need to sanitize and clean this real quick. The ladle. No, not the ladle. The thermometer, because I can make sure that the wort is ready for extra stuff. So I'm just going to make sure that it is at about 70. I need it to be about 70 degrees before putting the yeast in. That's just when it's going to be working at its best. So I'm going to set this in it. So it's still a little warm. It's pushing 80, which isn't a bad thing. So I'm just going to let it sit a little bit longer. Luckily, when we get some out and start messing around with it, testing the gravity, that may, just messing around with it may lower the temperature. So let me grab the thermometer, or not the thermometer, but the flask, beaker, if you will. Beaker. So I'm gonna sanitize this, put the wort inside it, and then use this. This is a hydrometer. This has some numbers on it. This can also be used for wine and other brewing, not brewing, but fermenting things. It can be used for, let's see, dessert wine, table wine, and beer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this sanitized. I guess I don't have to sanitize this, but necessarily. I'm going to sanitize this guy. Because I'm dipping it into it. You want anything making contact with it to be clear. Or clean, rather.
No, I'm not going to.
I was using this earlier to get, you can't see it. I was using this to get some of the sanitizer out, so I'm going to use it again. Sanitize it. I'm going to use this to pour the wort into my hydrometer flask. I'm going to put a little bit more in it. There we go. Alrighty. Hydrometer. So I need to do away with these bubbles. What I'm doing is I'm creating space in between the surface level and the bubbles. By doing that, it kind of pulls some of the bubbles out, and subsequently, as you can tell, makes it a little bit clearer, a little bit easier to see. That way, here we go. That way, once I get the hydrometer in it, I can actually read what number it's on. I'm going to write that number down, take note of it, and then compare it to the same number in a couple weeks. So I'm going to insert this. I'm just going to drop it.
Dude, I'm not going to play right
Come on, Tucker, not now. Alrighty, so it's settled, as you can tell. So now I'm just going to give it a little spin. By doing that, it pulls any bubbles off of the hydrometer, makes it a little bit easier. Once it settles, I can write that number down. I'm going to be far off of the original gravity rating, or the OG is what they call it. That number is supposed to be 1.06. I'm never spot on for whatever reason. So right now we're at about 1.23. Not that it's that huge a difference. You can add water to kind of get it closer to the original gravity rating. I'm not going to mess with it just because I like where it's at. I am going to take note of it though. Let's see, let me make sure it's spinning one more time. So 1.212. Yeah, it's about 1.22, which is pretty high, all things considered. But whatever, right? Is it going to taste bad? No. Yeah, I probably should try to add a little water to it, but I don't know that that's necessary right now. I am going to check the temperature again, though. So we're looking at 82, 83 degrees. It's probably all right. No need to be concerned or anything there. I don't have any ice or anything to use to get it cooler, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. I'm not gonna let it sit with a lid open for the next hour or so, however long it would take to cool down. But I am gonna write out the original gravity rating. Actually, there's no pin in the kitchen, because why would there be? So I will write that down later. 1.22. So I'm gonna move this over. Is there one in there? Will you check? Oh, cool. There is a pin in the kitchen. So I'm gonna write OG. Oh. Okay, thank you. Just gonna use a pencil here. That pen was out of ink. Oh, sweet. This has new lead in it.
Yeah.
Opposed to old lead. I haven't written things in a pencil or pen in a while. So my handwriting is even worse than what it was before. Which is really saying something. Why? Oh, that's why. Okay. Yeah, it's looking like 1.22. Hopefully that's not going to be a problem. I don't want to add more water to it, just that's going to dilute the flavor that we already have. And though the alcohol content may be closer to what the recipe calls for, if it's higher, as long as it's a little bit higher at the end, that means we got a stronger beer. So, hey, maybe it's not a bad thing, right? So let me check the recipe real quick, like. Boop, 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 boop. Aerate the wort. Measure specific gravity. Add yeast once the temperature of the wort is 75 degrees or lower, not warm to the touch. And it's not warm right now, so I could be good to go ahead and add the yeast. After that, we're gonna seal it and essentially just move it upstairs, move it into a closet where it's not going to be bothered for the next week or so. After that, we're gonna move it from bucket 1 to bucket 2. That's secondary fermentation. Right now, it's in primary fermentation. In a week, we'll move it from bucket 1 to bucket 2, making that secondary. And then we'll let it sit for about 2 weeks, probably about another week. 1 week to do that, and then 2 weeks in the bottles before it can be drunk, used, and consumed. So let me go ahead and get some of the, yeah, exactly, stronger beer. Yeah, so it's almost it should work out. I don't want to dilute the beer with more water, just because that's gonna not be ideal.
What's wrong?
Oh, it's just like super bright. I should probably just turn back over there now. It was built to be over here with more space, not in this corner. But I'm gonna go ahead and add the wort. I'm sorry, the yeast. It wasn't a sanitizer. I'm gonna use the scissors to cut it open. Are the scissors over there? Oh, I'm gonna put the scissors in the sanitizer. Oh, the sanitizer is pulling some of the label off of the yeast off. Not that it matters, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. And essentially, this part's just exactly a sprinkle. I mean, you're just taking it and sprinkling it across the top. Wow, this smells really weird. Alrighty. So now, I'll show you what it looks like. Tucker. Now at the time, man. So now I've got the yeast in it. So this is what it looks like. You can kind of see some of the yeast falling you can kind of see some of the yeast falling towards the bottom. I mean, that's not anything weird. As it falls, it's going to continue fermenting over the next few days. At about I would say about 2 days from now, not tomorrow, but the day after, you're gonna start seeing bubbles in the airlock. And that tells you that the yeast is working. The yeast is just putting in work, fermenting the wort, giving us one step closer to actual beer. Okay. been off of the. It's been a minute since it was sanitized. Seal time. And there it is. So now, this is essentially done. This wort is gonna be beer in about a week or two. This process is done. There's not much else to do here. I'm gonna get this off the counter. Alrighty. So, as far as brew day, that is officially over. I'm not quite done yet. I need to get the last week's beer out of this bucket and into the other bucket, and then seal that off for about another week. There's no point in not live streaming it. I'm still here, and it looks like there are other people still here. So one way or another, I need to do this. It's just a matter of who's going to stick around with me. Once again, thank you for watching. Hopefully, you learned something. I'm not ending it by any means, but I do want to say thank you. This has been a blast. I'm going to probably continue doing this. It's just a matter of not making a mess next time. When are we drinking? Yeah, it's gonna be another few weeks actually. It's gonna be about a month before we can drink this one. I know that's hard to hear, but it's gonna be about a month before this Lemondrop Saison is ready. It's gonna take about 2 weeks to finish fermenting for the wort to turn into beer, and then it's gonna take about 2 weeks to carbonate. That's the hardest part. Not fun. I mean, drinking the beer is fun, but waiting for it to be ready is not. That's why I bought the Kegarator. So technically, with the beer we brewed last week, we are going to be able to clean the keg, fill it, and drink it in the same day, actually. So, Uncle Phil, if you like IPAs, or Uncle Vinny like IPAs, you're more than welcome to come over and have one fresh out of the tap. But it's going to take about a week for it to continue fermenting. Right now it's about done, but I want to put it into another bucket. That way, once we put it into the keg, it's even clearer. Again, you don't want any, like right now, this is pretty clear. I'm actually relatively impressed with how clear it is. You don't see very much floating around in it right now. Not any more than what you would see in a beer out of the gas station or anything like that. But this part is, I'm actually relatively impressed. You're not going to see very many bubbles right now just because there's no carbonation in it. There's no CO2. Technically, this is good to drink, but it's not going to taste very good. It doesn't smell very good, I'll tell you that. I'm not going to drink it. If someone were to donate like $100 to the charity, then I would, but I just dumped it out, yeah. Alrighty, let's keep moving. Again, thanks for stopping in. I'm going to hydrate real quick. I'm going to, now the next process is getting the wort chiller out of where it's at, cleaning and sanitizing that bucket, and then hopefully that lid works on the other bucket. The other bucket worked in the other lid, but hopefully it works. Oh, wow. Alicia's watching now. Hi, hello. Let's see. So, I guess I'm done with this. No, I still need the sanitizer. What am I talking about? Honestly, we should probably make some more. Look how disgusting this is. So I'm gonna sanitize. I'm gonna clean and sanitize this bucket. I'm gonna go ahead. You know what? You're good. Alrighty. So now it's just a matter of cleaning this bucket, putting some sanitizer in it, doing the same thing, sloshing it around, Is this ASMR? Probably not. I apologize if that sounds terrible and weird. As you would imagine, I'm not listening to the stream right now, so but I'm gonna listen to it back. I'm gonna watch it back and make it better for next time. So far, the only downside to using this new bucket is it's not as easy to read the measurement ratings on the side. This bucket is just less clear than the other ones. Which isn't the end of the world, as you would imagine. It just makes it a little bit harder to gauge how much water's in it. I'm gonna remake the sanitizing solution. Usually you wouldn't have to, but I didn't have another receptacle to put it in. I should probably invest in at least like a smaller bucket, like a 1 gallon bucket, and like a 3 gallon bucket, so it can be dedicated to sanitizer. So I'm not just using another bucket. So a tablespoon. Stir it around. I'm sorry if that's annoying and loud. Not practical, I understand. So now I am going to find a way to better show off this part. It hasn't all dissolved yet, so I need to continue stirring this for a bit. That should do it. Okay, so now I need to get some of that sanitizer into the bucket. Slosh it around. All right. And then if this part's done, I'm just going to, once this part's done, I'm going to put it back into the sink and then dump the now beer, uncarbonated beer, into here. I'm going to use the siphon for that, so you guys will get to watch that part. So this is nice and sanitized. Show off the branding there. Oh, I'm on the big screen at home. Awesome. I looked at it, at least on Zach's phone. The aspect ratio is a little weird, but next time it should be better. I'm going to find a way to make it better. Hopefully the resolution of the camera that I'm using isn't getting in the way of that. Hopefully it still looks good at home. Hopefully I still look okay on the big screen. But right now, I did that. Oh yeah, now I need to sanitize the siphon and stuff. It's nice to put that tubing it's nice to put the tubing in hot water to make it easier to put onto an opening like this. Otherwise, it's going to be the tubing is going to be really hard. It's going to be really tight, and it's going to be hard to get this on there. And if it's not on there properly, it's going to if it's on there properly, there's a chance of it coming off and just making a mess. And I want fewer messes. Not no messes, just fewer messes. Yeah, everyone's been super supportive as of late. I want to make sure next time that the donation thing is actually better set up. Since this channel is brand new, I can't technically take donations through the chat, through the stream, which is why the link is there. Eventually, I want the donations through the stream to go directly to whoever it is we're doing charity for. Right now, it's Save the Children of Lebanon. You'll find the link in the description, so feel free to send to use that. I already donated my money. Granted, it was a test, but I donated my money to just to make sure that it was working, and it is. It doesn't go directly to the stream, but it does. It does still go directly to the charity. But someone's at my door, so I'll be right back. Funny enough, it was someone at the wrong house. That could have been weird, but whatever. Yeah, it was just someone at the wrong house. She looked at me and said, "Wrong house." And I was like, okay, sure, I guess. I don't know how to respond to that. So right now I'm just sanitizing, making sure sanitizer is on the siphon. I'm going to hook up the siphon to the tubing. And then, now that it's nice and on there, I've got the tubing on the siphon, about less than an inch, about a half inch or so on there. I'm going to pump the siphon in the sink to pump the sanitizer through, and then after that, I'm going to use the Zach is now in the chat. Zach was doing quite a bit of the background. You may have seen him just a little bit when we were cleaning up the mess earlier. Zach's in charge of the lights. He's essentially director, executive producer of all this. So everyone say hi to Zach. Say thank you to Zach as well. Quite a bit of this would not be possible without him. So say thanks to Zach. So I'm pumping sanitizer through the siphon right now. Nice and clean. I'm going to set this inside of the sanitized bucket for now. I'm going to move the sanitized bucket to the floor because you want physics, you want gravity on your side. So I'm going to put the wort, the beer, and I'm going to put that bucket up on the counter. So let me get this. Now the bucket we're using is what's called a bottling bucket. So this is actually what I'm going to use. I'm actually going to use this to bottle the Lemondrop Saison. That's why I had to buy another bucket so that I could make sure this was ready in about 2 weeks. This bucket was empty in about 2 weeks, so that I can use this to bottle the Saison. I feel like my hello wasn't any good enough. To Uncle Phil. Hi, Uncle Phil. Is that better? Let me get this open. Luckily, I've used this bucket quite a bit. so it's a little bit easier to use now. Before, it was not easy to open. But now that I've opened it so many times, it is much, much, much easier to open. Alicia and Zach can attest. They've both seen and helped me with this. So now just this last little part. Come on, come on. Let me get that out of there. I don't want to make much of a mess. There we go. Set that in the sanitizer. So now I'm going to show you this. So this is the beer from last week. So this is the IPA. This is Northern Brewers, one of their IPAs. I don't remember which one it is. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't remember. I'm sure the recipe is somewhere around here. But this is what it looks like now. What you're seeing here is just some of the other hops that we added in the very end. We're going to be adding in another round of hops here, so it's going to be even dirtier. But looks weird, right? But it smells like beer. Okay. I was looking for the recipe. What we brewed last week was Northern Brewers, Citra IPA. Northern Brewers, Citra IPA. This is what's inside here right now. Wait, where's my other round of hops? Just saw it earlier. Oh, there we go. So what we're doing now is we're going to get this out of here and then there. I'm sorry, into the other bucket that I put on the floor. And I'm going to add these Citra hops into it. This is that dry hopping that I mentioned earlier for those of you that were with me earlier. Dry hopping is essentially just adding in, if I was to add in hops right now, dry hopping. If you add in hops after the boil with it off the stove or off the heat, dry hopping, or at least after the fermenting period. So I am going to take my sanitized siphon, set it inside, super simple. And I'm gonna line up the tubing into the clean bucket. That way there's no splashing. I want it much like the faucet earlier when I was spraying, filling the last brew. I want to make sure that this doesn't splash. You don't want to add oxygen into the mixture of the beer. And splashing does that. So I'm going to give this a couple pumps. You may be able to watch the beer go through. So pump, there it is, pump, pump. And just like that, we've got beer coming through. So I'm going to show you what we're working with right now. Excuse me. How you doing? All right. So this is what we have. I've got, as you can tell, I apologize if this is like super not great, but I'm holding the siphon so that it's not at the very bottom. I don't want any of the gunk on the very bottom, but I do want all the liquid, as much liquid as possible. So I don't want to touch too much of the sides. Right now I am just using, as I mentioned, just pushing it, letting the water hit the sidewall of the bucket. That way is as little oxygen mixing into it as possible. Super cool. I'm gonna put you back now. There we go. So you can get to watch this go down. Eventually, of course, as we get to the bottom, we're not gonna use quite a bit of it. At least we're not gonna use that last couple inches. I'll show you what that looks like. But this is what a Saturday, I won't say a typical Saturday because I don't do this every single Saturday, but at least one Saturday a month sometimes two in this case, like much like what we're doing now. Now that I have a kegerator and bottles, I'm probably going to be doubling up on beer since I have two ways to store it. That's all under the impression that we drink the keg beer fast enough to allow for us to put more beer into it. This beer should be able to go into the keg next week, as long as this fermenting is done. You know it's done when the bubbles, kind of what I mentioned earlier on the other bucket, you'll know it's done when those bubbles have stopped. Once it stopped, the yeast is done working. Once it was done working I'm transferring it to clean it up. I'm going to add more hops to let it continue, everything continue to just gain more flavor. After that, we can put it in we'll clean the keg, sanitize the keg, and put beer into it. We'll put this beer into it. This is still super muddy and gross. I mean, it looks gross at least, just because of all the hops that we put in it. But once this is done, we'll be able to put it in the clean keg, and then about an hour later, drink it. I'll probably end up live streaming that process too, just because if it gives me a reason to help get money to a charity, I'm going to do it. It'll probably be the same charity, but just hopefully better linked up. That way it's a little more interactive. What I really want is to be seeing these all over the... Oh, no, I don't want to record. I really want to see these widgets, these pop-ups. I want to see those. Yeah, I want to see that too. I want to see a bunch of those the entire time. I want to see people not only subscribe. More importantly, yes, subscribing is cool, but more importantly, I want to make sure that the charity we're working with gets their share as well. So really, what I want to see is something like this. Bow, 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 bow. Okay, 3 works. But you get it. Right now, since again this was the very first time, there's quite a bit that we need to get in place for make sure that happens. My channel has to get kind of in a better place than it's in. This is the very first thing my channel will have seen. So once it gets into better territory with an audience, YouTube will then allow me to take, again, quote unquote donations. I'm using quotes because the donations don't go to me. As far as I'm concerned, they're actual donations, not going to me, but going to a charity. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this. So hopefully next time we will be able, at least in the future, it will be a little bit more interactive. For those that watch a lot of gaming streams, my boy James, if you're still here, it's a little bit different as far as that format. I'm still using that same software, at least something similar to that, to allow me to do this stuff that you're seeing here. The donation thing that was on the other side here. But hopefully the plan is to be able to continue doing what we're doing, but also make a lot of money for donations. Not donations, but for charity. My next one I'm considering, the next charity I'm considering is going to be likely for something closer to home. Likely something here in Austin. There's a major homeless problem here in Austin. I want to do what I can. I feel like I'm in a privileged position because I have a house, and I'm able to live my life with no worries usually. So I want to do what I can to make things easier for those who don't have what I have. So I'm probably going to find some charity out there that will, at least here in Austin, Texas, somewhere, that will let me, oh boy. We are getting a little bit of water, or not water, but air into it. I'm going to go ahead and take this out because this last bit of beer that's in it is almost all sludge. I may be able to get something out of it. I don't know. I mean, we're not even at 5 gallons yet. We're at 4 gallons right now. So there's a whole gallon of beer that may go to waste just because of, wow, that's a lot. Okay, yeah, I'm not putting this into my beer. Check this out. Hold on. Oh, this is going to be gross. See already? Oh, that is disgusting. I can't wait to show you. Hi, Auntie Monique. It's been a while. You probably haven't seen me in quite some time. But this is what I'm doing now. I'm just brewing beer at home. So what you're seeing now is just the bottom of that bucket. This is essentially just the end of the beer. Check this out. Keep looking, keep looking. That's the good stuff there. So that's essentially all the remaining, the hops and stuff that we put in it at the end. You can kind of see it like falling there. Yeah, that's just, isn't that gross? Oh man, I want to touch it, but I can't because I'm only got the two hands. What's up? So I'm gonna move this back. Oh, there we go. Okay, so 45 clips imported from the show. There will be an end. Yeah, so as you're telling, Zach's kind of giving you a heads up of the next step here. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's gross. I told you. I'm gonna put this in the sink. So the only downside of my setup, what I'm doing right now, as far as the keg and stuff, it's an 8-gallon keg, but I don't have the equipment to make more than 5 gallons right now. These buckets that you're seeing are about 6.5-gallon buckets, so technically I could do a 6-gallon brew. But what's weird about that is just storing it still. You can do, my goal, my next step in my brewing is going to be, the next step in, sorry, the siphon was making a weird noise. The next step in brewing is going to be, or like my equipment is going to be what's called all grain brewing. Essentially the difference between all grain and what I'm doing right now. Remember that small amount of grain from the very beginning? All grain, you're going to have, a lot more grains because you're not using extract. The extracts, the syrups that you saw, and the dry extract that I was pouring into the wort as I was stirring, that the all grain, you need way more grains, like 10 pounds of grains instead of like a half pound that I had earlier. Essentially that 10-pound amount of grains is to give you the same amount of nutrients and flavor and stuff like that out of the extract. The benefit of the extract is you don't need 10 pounds of grains. You just need like 1 pound of grain and a bunch of extract to give you that effect. All grain is a little bit different. Let me pour these into the beer. I say beer because it is fermented. I'm going to lift this up. This is what we're working with now. I'm going to pour the hops in. It smells really, really, really good. You guys do see me smelling it a lot. When I drink beer and do stuff like that, I'm always smelling it. I've always enjoyed the smell of these types of things. Wow, that smells good. Okay, so I'm just going to pour them right on top. I'll show you what that looks like. So, I mean, it's just the hop pellets. This here, as you can tell, is a lot clearer, a lot cleaner than what we were working with earlier. So that's the benefit of doing that secondary fermentation, getting it from bucket 1 to bucket 2. What we're going to do is seal this off, let it sit for another week or so. After it's done, we're going to get it out of there and into the fermenter. Into the keg. After it's in the keg, all should be fine. It's going to be in the keg. I'm going to pump some CO2 through it, shake it up a little bit for about 5 minutes. Let it cool down. I won't say, cool down literally, and let like all the fizz and stuff that might have come up from me shaking it. I'm gonna let it sit for about 30 minutes. After that, give it a taste. But that won't be until next week. So let me find the lid. It's in the sanitizer, so I'm going to sanitize it again. Alrighty. So I've got Brewer's Best bucket here with Northern Brewer's lid. Brewer's Best lid works on the Northern Brewer bucket, but the Northern Brewer lid doesn't work with the Brewer's Best bucket. I'm finding out now by trying. Oh, I guess it does. So I could do this. It's just going to be really hard to come off. I would rather use this with the bucket that's already been filled with. So I'm going to take the lid off of the other bucket and just swap them real quick. This was a concern that I had earlier, but so that's why I didn't take the bucket very far. It's just right here on the floor. Take that, put it here. Wow, that is a very golden. This the Lemondrop Saison, I'll show you. So this is now sealed. So we just finished secondary fermentation for this. What that means is, again, we got it from bucket 1 to bucket 2. Now we should be good to put this into the keg in about a week or two. So I'm gonna set this down, get this off the counter. The only downside to it is it's about half as much, the keg is gonna be half full. Or half empty, depending on how you see it. Okay. So, here we have the Lemondrop Saison again. Check this out. So this is now, after it settled a little bit, this is what we were working with earlier. The yeast is kind of just chilling. I mean, it's already done what it's done. That's what you're seeing, those streaks and stuff that you're seeing. That's actually the yeast having just like dissolved just a little bit. I don't want this getting too much oxygen, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it. I'm gonna go ahead and get it back, get it sealed as soon as possible. I'm just adding a little bit more sanitizer to the airlock. So this is the other airlock we were working with. The other one we were working with was a tri-chamber. This one's a little bit different, more traditional, but the same things. The CO2, the carbon dioxide, is going to come out, but prevent any oxygen from coming in. So I'm just going to seal it back. So now we've got the Lemondrop Saison. Sorry about that. The Lemondrop Saison working. And I think we're pretty much done for the day. And just like that, we now have 2 beers brewing at once. Or not necessarily brewing, but fermenting at once. We've got the Northern Brewers Lemondrop Saison and Northern Brewers Kama Citra IPA. The IPA I'm super excited about. That one's gonna fly through the out of our keg. So that might mean next week when I get this into the keg, we should be able to brew another one. So maybe I'll be able to find another recipe and brew again. Of course, let me know if this is something that you want to see, something that you want to see more. If either you have any suggestions as to what we should or shouldn't do next time. Next time, the shouldn't list is going to include making a mess. Not no mess, but just a little bit less of a mess. But the plan is to get this Kama Citra out of the Brewer's Best bucket next week and put it into the keg, carbonate the keg, and then drink the keg. Drink it like crazy. Awesome. So let me finish cleaning up. Feel free to post any questions you have. I think this is about the tail end of the live stream as far as the brewing portion is concerned. There's really not much else to do outside of clean up, and I don't think you guys want to watch that. Go ahead and leave any questions you have for me. I can answer any before the stream ends. But I'm going to be right back. I'm going to finish cleaning things up real quick.
To import.
Oh, really?
Clips, yeah.
To get it off of the SD card into the computer?
Yeah.
What kind of hard drive do you have? Do you have a hard drive to hold all that?
Yeah. I have a
1 terabyte or what?
I think 500.
Oh, okay. I guess you don't usually what you don't need, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. Okay, what's that? Okay. Cool. I apologize for all the noise, but I'm just now opening what the homebrew supply store where I got the wort chiller, this shirt, and the thermometer from. It came with what looks like, yeah, I was exactly right. It's a keychain that's also a bottle opener on a lanyard. Austin Homebrew Supply, 512-300 Brew. That's 512-300-2739. Blah, blah, blah. They're not paying me to say any of this. It'd be great if they were, but they're not. I just like them a lot. I've bought some stuff from their store quite a bit. Your local city, state may have a homebrew supply store. So if this is something that you're interested in, feel free to look into it. But let's see what we've got going on in the chat. A better camera angle for sure. Yeah, I'm going to work on that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm for sure going to work on a better camera angle. Maybe multiple ones. That way it's a little bit easier to see, a little bit better to view. Again, once I look back and watch this, I may not be able to watch the whole 4 hour stream. But once I watch through it, I'll see the ups and downs, the goods, the bads, and then iron that out for next time. I do have about a week to do that. So hopefully with a little bit of testing, we should be good. I may test the stream using while cleaning the keg, because that's something I'm going to have to do. Clearly, there's at least 5, 6, 10 people that are interested in watching. So I may just live stream that, not only to test it, but also to get on film what else I'm doing. Essentially, it's just going to be a matter of cleaning the keg and then sanitizing it to get it ready. A cuter camera angle. Cuter. Uncle Phil. I mean, a cuter camera angle. I can try to get like a head cam. That way it's like only on my face. Hopefully that's cute enough. If it's not, there's nothing else. I can just leave it on Tucker. That's like all we got. That's all we got here right now. The cutest thing in the house is probably the dog. Probably the dog, I would imagine. So I can find maybe we can get like a dog cam. That way he's like the GoPro's on him. And it's like,
moving.
yeah. Well, it wouldn't just be all the time on there. We'll figure it out.
Can I get a glass?
Any other questions before we end the live stream? Like one of these?
Yeah.
Oh. You get this one. You don't get it. I don't want you to break it. You're here for it. That's fantastic to hear. I'm glad that people are interested in something like this. Usually, watching someone brew beer would likely only be done by someone that's also brewing beer. But I'm glad that we've got people that don't plan on brewing beer, or at least are interested in watching the process, or even just seeing what I'm up to. Nonetheless, I'm here for it, just as much as you are. Again, the whole point of doing all this was to make sure that I could not only do what I do already, but also raise some money for charity. So feel free to check that. Check the description for the charity we're supporting right now. If you have questions about the charity itself, you want to make sure where your money is going and that it's going into a good place. I also have a link for the information page on the charity below or in the description. So feel free to check that out if you have questions as to who you're going to be giving your money to. Let's see. Oh, a Q, not Q. Less than 45, more laptop. You got it. So not one as wide. This is a very good camera. I got it from work. So it's a little bit better than what I was expecting. But I can for sure make sure to make it even better for next time. I'm going to finish cleaning up. Let's say we're at 3 hours and 48 minutes. I'll give it, we'll round it off at, maybe 350, if we can, maybe even 4 hours. But feel free to post any questions you have. Let me finish cleaning up. So, when I was putting the beer into the secondary fermenter for the Kama Citra IPA, I should have grabbed the gravity rating to test that from what it was last week. Actually, I guess I shouldn't need to do that until next week when we're putting it in the keg. That way we can calculate the alcohol content. Again, you take the original gravity rating, so something like that 1.22 we got off of, the Lemondrop Saison. That 1.22, subtract it from the number we're going to get next week, which is likely going to be, I don't know, it should go down in theory. No, actually, I guess it should go up. I don't know. I don't know how that part works. I haven't properly measured the gravity on these brews yet. But it should go up, I'm thinking. We take that difference, we'll multiply it by like 131 dot something something something. That'll give us our ABV, alcohol content by volume. I'm thinking that this Kama Citra should be hovering around 8%. Once we have that number, we'll know for sure. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like... yeah, of course, I have no problem sharing. When it comes to something that I know and I know well, I enjoy sharing that with others. Whether it's I won't say wealth of knowledge when it comes to computers, but I've built mini computers and fixed mini computers, so I know a bit about it. Beer, I've brewed a lot of beer over the last few months, so I know quite a bit now. The Kegarator, I had to do quite a bit of work to get working. Here, actually, I'll show, now that I've got a little bit larger audience than last time, I can show the Kegarator again. Just gonna do one of those. So you can kind of see it there. Move the light out of the way. So there, right there, that mini fridge is the Kegarator. Sorry about this. So this is the Kegarator. For those that haven't seen it yet, Mom, you might not have seen this. I'm sorry that you see this, but this is 100%. It's a beer on tap at home. What's inside it? What you're seeing right there is the CO2 canister that I have. There's nothing going on right now because the keg, as you saw, is over here. So this keg and the CO2 canister are just right inside the Kegarator. Again, it's just a mini fridge with a hole cut out the top. The tower, the cylindrical tower right here. Tucker, hey, come here. Hi, look, everyone say hi to Tucker. This is Tucker, for those that haven't seen him. Oh, puppy on screen, puppy on screen, puppy on screen. This is Tucker. He's 5 years old. A lot of you may not have seen him in a while. This is Tucker. He's alive and well. Very healthy puppy. Oh, almost caught it. He's eating well. He's living his best life with a backyard. Lots of people, lots of family to love on him. So he's also very excited for the beer.
We don't
put that back. So this here is the beer line. Black for beer, gray for gas. You've got in and out on the keg. Gas goes in, beer comes out. Relatively simple. If you mix this up, it can be detrimental, so don't. But essentially, this has like you may not be able to see that, but essentially it's got a clasp on it that you pick up. You hear the click. Hear the click. You would turn the CO2 on. After the CO2's on, it would pump beer through, and then is that glass still over there? There might not be anything in the line. It shouldn't come out, but just to be safe, you would pull the lever. Again, it's out of beer. It's trying to pull what's in it out, but there's nothing in it, so it's just noisy and loud. By now, some more pressure is likely built up in the Kegarator, so I'm going to relieve it a little bit. I'm going to burp the keg. Yeah, not much, but just a little bit. If there were beer in here, beer would have come out. As you can tell, oh, that smells
really
awful.
bad.
That smells terrible.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to make you smell it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, that smells terrible. I regret having smelled that. The light makes it a little bit hard to see, but essentially this is what was left in the keg. It was likely just what was in the straw. Oh. And it's just hard to see. There's just like nothing in it. Okay, I kind of want you to smell it now.
No.
The bad part's gone. It was just like really bad at first. It's still like bad. It's still not good, but anyway. Yeah. So essentially, this would go inside, and you close it away, and then when you pull this, beer comes out. What I'm gonna have to do next weekend is open it, sanitize it, clean it, fill it, close it, carbonate it, and then drink, or chill it and then drink it. Right now, technically, we should be able to open it. Ow. Yeah, so it's essentially very empty. I'm going to take the clamps off. Wow, this is like full. That CO2 canister is very full. I just filled it up the other day. It's very full. So the keg, which is almost completely empty, looks like this. So as you can kind of see, you may be able to see that straw on the inside, kind of. You can kind of see it, but essentially that straw goes all the way up to the out portion of the keg, and beer comes out of this part here, goes up the line, and then out of the tap. Super simple, but as you can tell, it is empty. It is cleaned out, all thanks to the beer drinkers at home. So let's see, let me go ahead and move this and close it again. And just like that. So it is closed now. Let's see, I'll bring this back around. Alrighty. So I guess that about does it for the live stream, guys. I appreciate everyone stopping in. Any questions you have, feel free to leave them in the comment section. If that's a thing on a live stream, feel free to leave them in the chat. I'll get back to them later. Or if you have me on the social medias, feel free to reach out to me there. I have yet to create an official one for the channel. We'll get there here in a bit, but I wanted to at least get the stream itself up and running, get it together, so that it can be a little bit more formal. I'm gonna, here in a bit, I guess once I end the stream, what you're not gonna see is me putting all this away. I'm going to take these buckets, put them in one of our upstairs closets, where the closet's essentially gonna be closed about every day. And from there, after it's, really it's just a matter of taking this IPA and getting it into the clean, sanitized keg next weekend. Wow, I guess that's about it. Yeah, there's not much else to go over. I don't think anyone wants to watch me clean. I don't even want to clean, let alone watch someone else clean, so I'm not going to put you through that. Yeah, let's do it. Let's call it. I got a lot to clean up now, so I'm gonna get to that. Again, any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Again, more importantly, I can't stress it enough, feel free to click that link, share that link with your friends and family that do look to make a difference. If you want to donate to save the children of Lebanon, I'm sure everyone here has seen that tragic video of the explosion in Beirut. This charity that we're working with is looking to help the children that were displaced. Their lives may have been lost due to the explosion. Their homes could have been damaged. Essentially, it's anything regarding making those kids' lives easier. It'll be pretty hard, but a good start is healthcare, education, and a nice home. Putting them back into the home of a family member, those that are still with them. That's essentially what all this is about. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your day. I appreciate you stopping by, visiting me while I'm doing what I do best. Those of you that I appreciate everyone that stopped by. I look forward to doing this again. You may see another video of the next steps later on, but first things first, we really want to make sure that first we got to brew the beer before we can bottle it and such. So I'm going to cross that bridge later on. Next week, we should be able to brew another beer, and maybe not brew another beer, but really it's a matter of cleaning the keg and getting that going, getting it filled. I'll probably live stream that, likely for the same charity. Hopefully the stream itself is a little more intuitive as far as the subscribers and such, but we will cross that bridge later. Thanks everyone for stopping by. I look forward to speaking to you next